Chapter 288. However, Jiang Xi didn't plan to increase his cultivation level immediately. "I'll heal my face first." That was because there were only a few days left until the new year of the Xia kingdom. He had to rush back to celebrate the new year with Jiang Dudu. As for increasing his cultivation level, anywhere was fine. His face was the most important thing now. Moreover, he had to go to the Dao Alliance building to do something. The last time he went there, he was only at the late-stage Golden Core realm. If he went there with his late-stage nascent soul realm cultivation level now, it would definitely cause trouble. After all, it had only been a year. Who would believe that he could improve so much in a year? Anyway, the condition to apply for the Earth Overlord title was that he only needed to be at the nascent soul realm. It didn't say whether he was at the early stage or late stage. Immediately after, Jiang Xi circulated his nascent soul realm spiritual power to heal the hideous and terrifying scars on his face. It took him a full 3 days to completely recover. Then, the scars fell off. The new skin made Jiang Xi speechless. He was a standard fair-skinned guy, after walking out of the training room. "Jiang Xi, you've become a gigolo." Xian Tian was the first to tease him. The others also laughed. Because the new skin on Jiang Xi's face looked very fair and tender, with a hint of red in it. Jiang Xi smiled helplessly. It seemed that he had to be exposed to more wind in the future and become more rugged. After everyone joked, Jiang Xi looked into the distance. That was the direction of the Dao Alliance building. "Big brother, sister bye-bye, it's time to get down to business." Xian Tian and Li Baibai's expressions became solemn as they nodded vigorously. 15 minutes later, the three of them walked to the Dao Alliance building. The middle-aged Daoist in the early nascent soul stage clearly remembered Jiang Xi at the place where the application or transfer of the planet's overlord status was made. He was very surprised because it had only been a year and 2 months since Jiang Xi and the others last came in such a short time. Jiang Xi had broken through from the late-stage Golden Core realm to the early-stage nascent soul realm. He was on the same level as him. "Fellow Daoist, do you still want to apply to become the overlord of that planet?" The middle-aged Daoist asked with a smile. "Not bad. Here are the original data and 100 million low-grade spiritual crystals." Jiang Xi handed over the astrolabe and a Dao Alliance crystal bank card he had prepared beforehand. These 100 million low-grade spirit crystals were exchanged for by him using the 100,000 Dao crystals. Without using the treasures left behind by the ancestors of Earth, strive not to be a prodigal. The middle-aged Daoist acted according to the rules. This time, he didn't ask Jiang Xi to hand over Earth to the Dao Alliance. The doppelganger of the Eye of Heaven shot out a beam of light from the stone pillar that was engraved with spell formations, and examined the astrolabe again. A moment later, the middle-aged Daoist handed the astrolabe to Jiang Xi. At the same time, he smiled and said, "Congratulations, Daoist Jiang Xi. The Eye of Tongtian has branded the earth and the sky around it. From this moment on, you are the new Lord of the Earth." New Moon Year 97, December 10th, Jiang Xi, Xian Tian, and Li Baibai, the three powerhouses of Earth, returned to their hometown through the interstellar teleportation array. As for Hu Yan, he was left behind by Jiang Xi on the Kanglan planet to help the Wen siblings and Shenwanxi manage the Mountain Sea Star trade. After all, the Mountain Sea Star trade had just been established not long ago. There were many places that needed manpower. This time, the three of them returned mainly for the new year. It was a tradition of the people of Great Xia that no matter where they were, they would want to go home for a visit during the new year. Pak Sun Province, Villa 92 in the Tongtian district. Xian Tian and Li Baibai had already returned to their respective homes. They had promised Jiang Xi that they would return to the Kanglan planet after the new year. These two were battle maniacs. After becoming starry sky hunters, they couldn't stay idle and wanted to go to the stars to train and fight. Late at night, in the villa, Jiang Daodu stared at Jiang Xi's face for a long time and said enviously, "Brother, can cultivation really beautify your face? Your face is white and rosy. It's really the skin of my dreams." Jiang Ci was speechless. Women. At first glance, they all looked at the face. Speaking of which, after leaving for a year, Jiang Daodu was already 18 years old. She was a big girl now. Then, he smiled helplessly and said, after cultivating to the nascent soul stage, your spiritual power will undergo a qualitative change, and you will be able to make certain adjustments to your body. However, it's better to stay in the original state. If you make any changes, it's easy to cause problems. It's okay. I just need to whiten my skin. The nascent soul stage. I must cultivate to the nascent soul stage. Jiang Daodu clenched her fists tightly. Actually, in Jiang Ci's opinion, her current appearance was good enough. After becoming an adult, Jiang Daodu could no longer be seen as the bean sprout when the two of them were wandering around. Now, she was slim and elegant, and her face had completely grown. Although she wasn't as beautiful as a fairy, her temperament was definitely first class. In terms of personality, she only showed her coquettish side in front of Jiang Ci. In front of outsiders, she could only be cold and aloof. After all, Jiang Daodu was now at the golden core stage, and she was also a peak powerhouse on Earth. Thinking of this, Jiang Ci's expression became serious. After failing to possess Jiang Daodu's body, the remnant spirit of Yin was unexpectedly bound and became Jiang Daodu's slave. Then, Jiang Daodu's cultivation took a big leap for the third time and directly reached the golden core stage. When this happened, he had only been on Murong planet for half a month. After Jiang Daodu sent him a message, he was very worried and immediately rushed back. When he learned that Jiang Daodu could control the life and death of the remnant spirit of Yin, he was relieved. Jiang Daodu had a big secret which Jiang Ci had known for a long time. During the third and fourth spiritual aura awakening, Jiang Daodu's cultivation had both shown signs of greatly increasing. Although Jiang Ci was shocked that the Dao integration remnant spirit was defeated by Jiang Daodu, it was still within the acceptable range. Seeing Jiang Ci's expression become serious, Jiang Daodu immediately understood what he was thinking and smiled. Come out. Suddenly, an old woman the size of a thumb flew out from her shoulder. The old woman had little hair and her face was full of wrinkles. She looked like she had suffered a great deal. Moreover, she was ghastly. As soon as she came out, she emitted a cold chill. Greetings, young master Jiang Ci. Yin Tianqing bowed to Jiang Ci. Jiang Ci was only at the nascent soul stage, and she was a Dao integration remnant spirit. However, with the relationship between Jiang Ci and Jiang Daodu, she did not dare to disrespect Jiang Ci. Moreover, after secretly observing in the past, she was also a little afraid of Jiang Ci. It was not only because Jiang Ci was Daoist Ge's successor, but also because Jiang Ci's speed of improvement was too fast. Although he could not compare to those heaven-defying races who were born at the golden core stage, he could definitely be called a top genius in the universe. Do you still hate my master? Jiang Ci asked directly. I'm already a remnant spirit, and your master is already dead. As the saying goes, a dead man is like an extinguished lamp. How can I still hate him? Yin Tianqing smiled bitterly. The inheritance of the ghost sect in the Fengdu mystic realm is with you? No, I only ascended the fifth of the 6 heavenly palaces on Fengdu Mountain before I was stopped by your master. Really? I don't dare to lie at all. Yin Tianqing hurriedly shook his head. Chapter 289. At this time, Jiang Daodu smiled and said, Brother, old Yin didn't lie. Relying on the comfort of Yin Tianqing's remnant spirit, she could sense the other party's thoughts. Jiang Ci nodded and smiled. I won't say much about threats. If you really have any other intentions, Daodu won't show mercy. I don't dare. Yin Tianqing shook his head again. Then, Jiang Daodu took back her so-called ghost pet. Brother, don't worry. I know what I'm doing. Moreover, it's useful to keep old Yin. She can guide me in cultivation or something. You can't be careless. Later, I'll teach you a few restrictions against spiritual sense. You can put them on her. It'll be safer. That's good. Give me a more ruthless and powerful one. Jiang Daodu's eyes lit up. The two of them chatted with each other and started chatting again. They each told each other about their experiences in the past year. In fact, in the past year, the two of them had also contacted each other through the communication bead. But most of the time, Jiang Ci was either working on Murong planet or cultivating in seclusion. They rarely contacted each other, and most of them were just a few hurried words. Therefore, the two of them chatted for 3 whole days this time. Then, they began to prepare New Year goods and visit their relatives and friends. For example, their former neighbor in Luming District, Old Yang, Zhenten Budokan's Zhang Wei, Uncle Jiang, Lu Shan, and Qin Yuan. There was also the president of the Kitasanfa Martial Artists Association, He Changxing, and so on. These were all elders and friends. Jiang Ci took the initiative to visit them all. As for the rest of the martial arts world in Pak Sun province, they were all here to visit Jiang Ci. Of course, whether Jiang Ci would see them or not was another matter. After not seeing each other for a year, everyone thought that Jiang Ci was in seclusion. When they saw Jiang Ci again, everyone was very surprised. Because they could still feel Jiang Ci's spiritual power aura in the past. Now, they realized that they could not see through Jiang Ci at all. Except for Jiang Dudu, Xian Tian, and Li Baibai. No one knew that Jiang Ci was already an existence that far surpassed the current cultivation world on Earth. He was even the Lord of Earth after the New Year. Jiang Ci left Earth with Jiang Dudu, Xian Tian, and Li Baibai. The 4 of them announced to the outside world that they were still in seclusion. As for Jiang Ci's other 2 servants, Chu Zhe and Qiu Hong, he would continue to shoulder the responsibility of Jiang Ci and the others and protect everything in the Great Xia Kingdom for them. After arriving on the Blue Planet, Xian Tian, Li Baibai, and Hu Yan went to other planets in the Blue Planet to train and fight. Jiang Dudu, accompanied by Jiang Ci, played on the Blue Planet for more than 2 months. They didn't stop until they were tired of playing. The only thing worth mentioning was that when the Wen siblings met Jiang Dudu for the first time, they called her martial aunt, which made Jiang Dudu blush. However, the little girl's mentality was very good. After that, she happily rewarded the Wen siblings with a wonderful stone as if nothing had happened. She also had a lot of these things in her hands. The Wen siblings were very surprised to find auxiliary magic treasures that could increase the speed of cultivation. Jiang Dudu's generosity made her quickly become familiar with the Wen siblings. She even had nothing to do at the Mountain Sea Star trade. Sometimes, she would go over to help. The backbone of the Mountain Sea Star trade all knew Jiang Dudu's identity, so naturally, they treated her well. However, Jiang Dudu didn't blindly order them around. She just wanted to experience the feeling of being a big sister. The following days were relatively peaceful. Jiang Ci and Jiang Dudu lived on the Blue Planet for half a year and on Earth for the other half. It was like traveling. Of course, they didn't forget about cultivation. Just like that, another 2 years passed in the blink of an eye. At the edge of the solar system, in the desolate starry sky, there was a place like the surface of the water. Waves appeared, and a flying boat shuttled out of it. The head of the Qing Xian sect, Qing Yi, stood on the deck of the flying boat. Looking at the empty starry sky, he let out a long breath. He had finally broken through the dangerous chaotic star belt. Although he looked young, his eyes were full of vicissitudes. He had lived for at least 1,000 years. Yen was talking about this galaxy. He really didn't lie to me. Qing Ye's expression was complicated before this. He still had some doubts about this arrogant disciple in his heart. He suspected that Hu Yan didn't want to hand over Earth to the sect. Now, it seemed that he had misunderstood his disciple. It's been more than 3 years, and there's no response to my message. It seems that something bad really happened. But, why didn't the life jade break? This was something that Qing Yi couldn't understand. He decided that when he reached Earth, he would investigate carefully. With the speed of a top-grade flying boat, it would only take 3 to 5 days to reach Earth from here. As he spoke, he took out the astrolabe used for interstellar navigation. Inside it was the navigation route that Hu Yen had given him. What? Qin Ye's expression changed drastically. Previously, Hu Yen had told him that this was a desolate galaxy. However, when he opened the astrolabe, he immediately discovered something. This starry sky had the imprint of the heavenly eye of the Tao Alliance. Qin Ye's expression was uncertain. In this galaxy, the only planet that is qualified to be imprinted by the Tao Alliance's heavenly eye is Earth. This means that someone has already applied to become the overlord of Earth. Who is it? Hu Yen? Or a native? No matter who it was, Qin Yi knew that he was in trouble now. The Tao Alliance's decree, private territory, sacred and inviolable. If he broke in without permission, once he was discovered by the overlord of Earth after that, it was very likely that he would be arrested and hunted down by the Tao Alliance's law enforcers. In the Blue Star region, he might be a famous nascent soul expert. But compared to the Tao Alliance's heavenly court, it was nothing. Any team of law enforcers could kill him. Let's see what the patriarch has to say. Qin Yi sent a message to his patriarch. Soon, Patriarch Qing Xian's figure appeared on the deck of the flying ship. Patriarch Qing Xian had the appearance of a teenager. He had long red hair, wore a blood-red spiritual artifact battle armor, and carried a long saber on his back. When he saw the desolate starry sky of the solar system, he smiled. Yi, you did well. Patriarch, there's an unexpected situation. This place already has the imprint of the Tao Alliance's heavenly eye. Someone has applied to become the overlord of Earth. Qin Yi shook his head. Is it that disciple of yours? Patriarch Qing Xian's expression darkened. I'm not sure yet. But now that this planet has become a private territory, I can't trespass. If the Tao Alliance's heavenly court pursues the matter, not only me, but also the Qing Xian sect will be implicated. This is the result of 3,000 years of hard work of the patriarch and the Qing family. Qin Yi smiled bitterly. What are you afraid of? Patriarch Qing Xian suddenly shouted coldly, and a blood-red light shot out from his eyes. Qin Yi was stunned. He did not know why the patriarch was angry. Patriarch Qing Xian laughed coldly. So what if the Tao Alliance's heavenly court pursues the matter? So what if the Qing Xian sect is implicated? What do you think the Qing Xian sect is ranked in the top 10 among the countless immortal sects in the Blue Star region? It's because of the Qing Xian sect. It's because I killed a nascent soul cultivator with 3 slashes. Power. Power is the foundation. Honor and reputation are bullshit. Chapter 290. Qin Ye's expression changed. Old ancestor Qing Xian continued to scold him. You should have heard about what happened on Murong planet in Minglan Star region 3 years ago. So many cultivators died because of a path unification inheritance. Not only are 2 Tao integration stage super mighty figures buried on this desolate planet called Earth, but they're also buried here. There are also top demon bloodlines like the dragon python and the black tortoise. Who knows how many other hidden opportunities there are? You have to remember that the most fundamental law of the universe is that the strong are respected. So, who cares if he's an overlord? Just capture him or kill him, and then snatch the opportunity. If I can get the opportunities on this planet, I will have a chance to reach path unification. By then, will the heavenly court of the Tao Alliance still pursue the trespassing of private property? If the Qing Xian sect is destroyed, so be it. As long as I don't die, as long as I reach path unification, I can rebuild it. And the rebuilt Qing Xian sect will only be stronger. Old ancestor Qing Xian did not hide the ambition in his heart as his long red hair fluttered. Even though they were separated by a communication pearl, Nye Tian could still sense the bloodthirsty aura pulsing in his deep eyes. Qing Ye's eyes became firm. He was awakened by the old ancestor's words. Indeed, he had always thought too highly of the Qing Xian sect and neglected the fact that strength was the foundation. Thank you for your teachings, old ancestor. I will go to Earth now. Very good. Go and find out the details of Earth. If there is a threat, solve it if you can. If you can't, contact me. Old ancestor Qing Xian nodded. For days later, Qing Yi drove the flying ship and traveled to the starry sky near Earth. When he saw the two moons hanging in the sky outside Earth, he understood the old ancestor's words even more. There must be a great opportunity in such a blessed land. By then, not only would the old ancestor reach path unification, maybe he would also have a chance to touch the threshold of path unification. Path unification was the peak of cultivators. In the pale blue star region, the whereabouts of path unification experts were not obvious. They could be the strongest on the surface when they were only in the primordial soul realm as long as they could reach path unification. Even if they built the Qing Xian sect into a top immortal Dao sect like the Zhangyan sect, they might still have a chance. Qing Ye's eyes were burning as he drove the flying ship through Earth's atmosphere and landed on Earth. I wonder if it was Hu Yen or an aboriginal who applied to become the Earth's overlord? After all, there are two Dao integration stage experts buried on this planet. Let's investigate in secret first. With such cautious thoughts in mind, he began to use his spiritual sense to investigate. With his nascent soul stage cultivation base, the limit of his spiritual sense exploration was 1,000 kilometers. In an hour, he would be able to roughly explore the entire Earth. At this moment, Qing Yi was in the air above the African continent. Soon, he made a discovery. With his spiritual awareness, he discovered a pyramid 10,000 meters below the surface of an oasis in the desert. This is an ancient altar. It's an altar that only Dao integration stage powerful beings can build. An altar like this can contain the Dao of heaven and earth of a Dao integration stage super mighty figure. Qing Yi was ecstatic. They had only just begun, but they had already discovered a Dao integration stage inheritance. Moreover, it was clear that this altar had existed for over 10,000 years and was not left behind by Daoist Gu and Yin Tian. Qing Yi took a deep breath and went deep into the ground. He carefully searched the pyramid but didn't find anything. What a pity, it turns out to be an abandoned ancient altar. From the looks of it, there might be more than one Dao integration stage inheritance on this planet. He continued north and arrived at the continent where the Holy Alliance was located. He soon made a new discovery. In the air above the 1,000-year-old holy city of the Holy Alliance, Qing Yi stood in the air, his figure hidden in the void. The Holy Alliance, which only had one golden core cultivator, couldn't discover him at all. This city is very strange. It seems like there's a powerful array formation. There's a faint, frightening fluctuation. Qing Yi was secretly shocked. Out of caution, he didn't go down and only memorize the location of the holy city. He continued to investigate other places. Next, he went to the Atlantic Ocean, the American continent where the Shadow Nation was located, and then to the Pacific Ocean. Along the way, he made many discoveries. Especially at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, he discovered a group of abandoned cities. There's actually a civilization left behind by the Sea Tribe? Qing Yi was shocked again. In the 9 major galaxies of the Dao Alliance, the Sea Tribe was on the verge of extinction. Only a small number of them lived in the remote galaxies of the Dao Alliance. Then, Qing Yi followed the line of the equator and investigated all the way from the Pacific Ocean to the subcontinent where the Peacock Nation was located. This! Qing Yi turned pale with fright. His spiritual sense quickly discovered ancient temples that were buried deep in the ground. Although these ancient temples were old, he could see the majestic scene from them. There's actually Buddhist ruins here. Even with Qing Ye's invincible nascent soul cultivation, his throat couldn't help but dry up. The Dao Alliance had 3 factions and 6 sections. The 3 factions were the Daoist sect, the Buddhist sect, and the Sword sect. Any one of them was a transcendent existence in the universe. The Buddhist sects were the most mysterious of all. This was because in the 9 major galaxies of the Dao Alliance, the Buddhist realm ruled by the Buddhist sect had always been at the edge of the 9 major galaxies. In the other 8 major galaxies, It was very rare to see a Buddhist disciple. And on this planet, he actually saw the ruins of Buddhism. And it's not an ordinary Buddhist ruin. It seems like a powerful and famous Buddhist mountain once existed here. Qin Ye's throat moved. The shock in his heart couldn't be suppressed for a long time. What's the origin of this planet? He clearly knew that this was no longer as simple as the Tao integration stage. It was related to existences above the Tao integration stage. What kind of third-grade planet is this? I'm afraid it's even higher than sixth grade. Thus, Qin Yi became even more careful. He didn't dare to rashly explore the Buddhist ruins here. Everyone knew how powerful the Buddhist sect was. If they violated any taboos, they might not even know how they died, or they might not even have the chance to die. Qin Yi carefully set off again. Soon, he arrived at the western plateau of the Great Xia Kingdom. He first explored to the east. In a mountain range near the Shu Mountain Prefecture, Qin Yi made a new discovery. It's a grotto heaven mystic realm. Qin Yi found the entrance to the Fengdu mystic realm under a small mountain. The Dark Suppression Army and the Shu Jia guarding this place were not worth mentioning in Qin Ye's eyes. He easily avoided the seal and entered the stone cave. This place is close to the Buddhist ruins. Why is it so gloomy? It's so pure. Could it be the power of Yin? Qin Yi was puzzled at first. Then, his eyes suddenly lit up. That was an extremely precious energy body. In a flash, he passed through the spatial door. Then, he saw the majestic Fengdu mountain at first glance in the Fengdu mystic realm. Ah, this! Qin Yi was frightened. His face was filled with fear. He could no longer maintain his composure and fled this place. From the time he entered to the time he came out, it took less than 3 seconds. Chapter 291. Ghost Race, it's the ruins of the Ghost Race. How is that possible? The Ghost Race is the greatest enemy of the human race. It's impossible for there to be ruins of the Ghost Race in the 9 major stellar zones of the Tao Alliance. After Qin Yi escaped, he looked at the black space door, the entrance to the Fengdu mystic realm, with fear and trepidation. After a long time, he managed to dispel some of the fear in his heart, but he was still a little shaken. The 3 strongest races in the universe were the human race, the demon race, and the ghost race. The 3 of them were enemies and had fought each other in the extraterritorial battlefield for countless years. Qin Yi knew very well that with his strength, he could be called a top expert in the Pale Blue Star region. But in the extraterritorial battlefield, he was just cannon fodder against the demon race and the ghost race. And there was such a large-scale ghost race ruin here. Qin Yi swallowed his saliva and looked at the space door again with lingering fear. Even a Tao integration stage elite would be terrified on that black mountain, wouldn't they? Yes, according to the patriarch, Daoist Gu followed the ghost race's Tao integration expert, Yin Tiansheng here. It seems like Yin Tiansheng came here for this place. No matter what, I can't go in anymore. The ghost race has strange methods. With my invincible nascent soul strength, if I really encounter danger, I won't even know how I died. Qin Yi shook his head and continued to explore other places. Soon, he arrived at the Kunlun Mountains and stood in the air. Such an immortal mountain terrain, it's natural. It seems like there's a powerful array formation here. But this place is close to the Buddhist and ghost race ruins. There shouldn't be any shocking existence here. Just as this thought appeared in Qin Ye's mind, his spiritual consciousness discovered Kunlun's Death Valley. Another entrance to the Grotto Heaven mystic realm? Was it opened by an Essence Soul expert? Or a Tao integration expert? Yes, the outer barrier is so obvious. It must have been left behind by an Essence Soul expert. Qin Yi carefully explored the mountain range again and didn't sense any dangerous aura. Then, he entered Death Valley in a flash and was transported to the Jade Pool mystic realm. After seeing the beautiful scenery in the mystic realm, Qin Yi heaved a sigh of relief. Qin Yi breathed a sigh of relief. Although there were some undead creatures, they were obviously not from the ghost race. In a few breaths' time, he arrived above the Tongtian mountain. The Tongtian mountain was guarded by the military of the Great Xia Kingdom and the martial artists of Genten Budokan. At this moment, He Tu and the two spirit vessel cultivators from the Great Xia Empire were present. However, with their cultivation level, they were unable to detect Qing Yi, who was invincible in the nascent soul realm. There's a floating lake. It seems like this place was left behind by a formation master. No. This lake does not exist in this grotto heaven. There is a second heavenly abode here. It must have been left behind by a Tao integration stage powerful being. I wonder where the entrance to the second paradise is? Qing Yi was a little surprised. Furthermore, there were humans in the lake at the top of the mountain. He felt that there was no danger here, so he began to carefully explore with his spiritual sense. Subsequently, he first detected the stone tablet that had the words Heavenspan Mountain inscribed on it. What era is this language from? This place dares to call itself Tongtian. Qing Yi was extremely surprised. In the entire Tao Alliance, only the Heavenspan I would dare to be named Heavenspan. With this thought in mind, his spirit sense found the stone door leading to the second heavenly abode in the lake at the top of the mountain. Just as he was about to go over, at this moment. Scram! The voice of a woman echoed in his mind. Qing Yi was so frightened that his body trembled, and his face turned green. A high-grade flying boat suddenly appeared. He drove the flying boat as if his life depended on it, and instantly passed through the barrier of the Jade Pool mystic realm. With another shuttle, he escaped from Earth. Because he was too flustered, he did not have time to hide his aura. He Tu and the others, who were in charge of guarding the Heavenspan Mountain, immediately discovered the situation. Although they did not see clearly, no one dared to ignore such an abnormality. They immediately reported the situation. At this moment, Jiang Xi was cultivating at home in the Heavenspan district. He was worried that the people from the Qing Xian sect would come early. Half a year ago, he returned to Earth with the Xian Tian, Li Baibai, and Hu Yan. As for Jiang Dudu, for the sake of safety, he forced the little girl to stay in the blue planet. If they were unlucky and old ancestor Qing Xian came, Jiang Dudu could also survive. This was also the reason why he brought Hu Yan back. Because if he really met with an accident, the spiritual sense restriction on Hu Yan's body would be unsealed. At that time, no one would be able to control Hu Yan. Not only Hu Yan, but also Chu Zhe and Xiao Hong. He brought them with him. If something happened, he could take them away together. When the abnormal situation occurred in the Jade Lake secret realm, Jiang Xi immediately learned the news from the Xian Tian. He, Hu Yan, Chu Zhe, and Xiao Hong drove the flying boat together. From the sky above Pak Sun province, they instantly arrived at the Kunlun Mountains and entered the Jade Lake secret realm. The Xian Tian and Li Baibai arrived after a while. There are remnants of the spiritual power of the nascent soul stage here. Jiang Xi frowned. Both of their expressions immediately turned solemn. There was no other cultivator on Earth except for Jiang Xi. Then, it could only be someone from the Qing Xian sect. Where is he? Is he still on Earth? The Xian Tian quickly asked. Jiang Xi's figure kept flashing in the sky above the Kunlun Mountains, investigating the whereabouts of the spiritual power aura. In the end, he found that the spiritual power aura of the nascent soul stage had passed through the atmosphere. He left Earth. Let's go and chase after him. Jiang Xi drove the flying boat and chased after the spiritual power aura with the Xian Tian and the others. Qing Yi did not dare to stop at all. The flying boat shuttled desperately and only stopped when it was near Mars. Because he found that no one was chasing after him. There's actually a living powerhouse there. Is it the Path Integration Powerhouse who opened the Grotto Heaven's secret realm? No, if it's a Path Integration Powerhouse, that cold shout just now would have shattered my soul. Why didn't she kill me? Qing Ye's face was still very pale, and his heart was filled with fear. No matter what, he definitely did not dare to go to Earth now. Who knew what the powerhouse who told him to get lost meant? After thinking about it, he sent a message to his own patriarch. This was no longer a threat that he could deal with. Patriarch Qing Xian's voice soon appeared on the flying boat. He saw that Qing Yi was still in the starry sky, looking panicked and pale. He was immediately puzzled and asked, "Yi, did you find anything?" "Patriarch, there seems to be a living path integration powerhouse on this planet." Qing Ye's throat moved. A path integration powerhouse? Patriarch Qing Xian was shocked. Although he had the ability to kill an Essence Soul stage cultivator, he was not strong enough in front of a path integration powerhouse. A casual attack from the other party could destroy his soul. There's a Grotto Heaven secret realm where there's a second Grotto Heaven that can only be opened by a path integration powerhouse. When I was about to enter, a woman's voice directly shouted at me to retreat. Qing Yi briefly explained the situation in the Jade Lake secret realm. Chapter 292. Show me the data recorded on the astrolabe. Patriarch Qing Xian was calmer than Qing Yi. Qing Yi finally reacted. When he used his spiritual consciousness to explore Earth, he had been using the astrolabe to record those scenes. It was just that he was scared out of his wits just now and did not remember. Then, he injected spiritual energy into the astrolabe, and illusions appeared in front of them. They were the scenes he had explored on Earth. Starting from the ancient pyramid altar underground to the Jade Pool mystic realm. Patriarch Qing Xian flipped through it, and he could clearly feel that his breathing had become rapid. These are all places left behind by at least Tao integration experts. This small planet actually hides so many powerful relics. When he saw the illusion of the Fengdu mystic realm, his expression changed greatly. Ghost race. There are ruins of the ghost race. That black mountain is very similar to the legendary sacred mountain of the ghost realm. No wonder Yin Tiansheng came here. In front of Qing Yi, Patriarch Qing Xian suppressed his shock and did not show it. After flipping through these data records, his heart was in a perilous situation. The Grotto Heaven mystic realm that scared Yi away in the end actually has a mountain that dares to use the name Sky Piercing. And that Grotto Heaven mystic realm is located in an endless mountain range. That mountain range is like a celestial mountain, and the heaven and earth array is faintly formed. It is also very similar to some of the Tao sect's array formations. The Tao sect, Buddhism sect, and ghost race ruins actually appeared on this planet at the same time. Perhaps there is more. This planet hides a huge secret, a huge terror. No matter what, I can't go there. Not to mention the Tao sect and Buddhism sect, just the ghost race ruins alone. If there is something hidden, it can make me die without a burial place. Patriarch Qing Xian was scared out of his wits even after looking through these recorded images. He had seen more than Qing Yi and knew more. The ignorant were fearless, but the knowledgeable were deeply fearful. The more one knew, the more one would feel the terror of this planet. Patriarch Qing Xian pondered for a long time and finally made a decision. He said to Qing Yi, "Yi, you guessed wrong. The woman who scared you away is the legendary artifact spirit." Weapon spirit? Qing Yi was puzzled. He had never heard of it before. That's right. A Dharma treasure that surpasses a spirit weapon will produce a weapon spirit. As long as the Dharma treasure is not destroyed, the weapon spirit will not be destroyed. A Tao integration expert's lifespan is at most 10,000 years. Only a weapon spirit can live for endless years. Old ancestor Qing Xian explained. Then why didn't the artifact spirit attack me? Qing Yi was still puzzled. Will the saber kill by itself? Old ancestor Qing Xian laughed. Qing Yi suddenly understood. What he didn't know was that even old ancestor Qing Xian himself wasn't sure if his guess was correct. Old ancestor Qing Xian did this just to let him, a descendant, go and investigate. As for Qing Yi, due to his trust in the old ancestor, he did not have any suspicions. Then, old ancestor Qing Xian laughed and said, "You've already scouted this planet, so go ahead and find the planet's overlord. It's best to capture him and place a spiritual sense restriction spell on him so that he can become your slave. In this way, we can explore the opportunities on this planet without any worries. If there's no other way, we can kill him, but we must kill him quickly. We can't give him a chance to send a message to the Tao Alliance Heavenly Court. Anyway, this is a barren planet. Very few people set foot here. We also have a chance. As he said this, suddenly, someone's coming. Qing Ye's expression changed. A flying ship was shuttling through the starry sky not far away. There's a flying ship. It's Jiang Ci. Qing Yi said again. His spiritual sense had discovered the figure on the flying ship. My disciple, Hu Yan, is also there. It seems that he has really betrayed us. Qing Ye's eyes flashed coldly. As old ancestor Qing Xian was a messenger, he couldn't use his spiritual sense to investigate. Therefore, after Qing Ye's reminder, he knew that someone was approaching this starry sky. Old ancestor Qing Xian laughed. Ha, a mere golden core cultivator. So what if he has betrayed us? We'll just kill him together. They have a Dharma treasure like a flying ship. It seems that they have been to other planets. The overlord of this planet must be among them. You don't have to make another trip. Capture them. Qing Yi laughed too. He was full of confidence. He drove the flying ship and flew straight over, after leaving the earth and traveling through the starry sky twice. After Hu Yan's reminder, Jiang Ci knew that the nascent soul cultivator of unknown origin took the same route as Hu Yan when he came to the earth. In this way, he could be sure that the nascent soul cultivator was from Qing Xian's sect. He traveled along this route and soon came to the starry sky near Mars. He saw the flying ship 1,000 kilometers away. Old ancestor Qing Xian. Qing Yi. Jiang Ci's spiritual sense instantly discovered the figure on the deck of the flying ship. His expression suddenly changed. Old ancestor Qing Xian was also here. He had already learned from Hu Yan about the appearance of the nascent soul cultivators from Qing Xian's sect. Therefore, he recognized the two figures at a glance. No! Jiang Ci was relieved again. It turned out that there was only one nascent soul cultivator's aura and old ancestor Qing Xian was just a messenger. If there was only Qing Xian's sect's chief, Qing Yi, there would be no problem. Seeing the other party's flying ship flying over unscrupulously, Jiang Ci, Xian Tian, and Li Baibai looked at each other and smiled. Then, Jiang Ci flew straight out of the formation enchantment of the flying ship and stood in the starry sky, waiting for the other party's arrival. He wanted to face the other party head-on. Xian Tian and Li Baibai were even calmer. They were not worried at all. Hu Yan, Chu Zhe, and Qiu Hong were also full of confidence in their master. Soon, the two sides met. Qing Yi also flew down from the flying ship and stood in the starry sky. Old ancestor Qing Xian had not finished his message. His figure was still on the deck of the flying ship, watching the battle. He wanted to see Qing Yi defeat the enemy with his own eyes and master the opportunity of this planet. At this time, Qing Yi frowned slightly. He suddenly realized that he could not see through Jiang Ci's cultivation. When he was 1,000 kilometers away, he used his spiritual sense to check Jiang Ci's aura. He was still at the late stage of golden core. But now, Jiang Ci's aura was a bit hazy. There were only two possibilities for this situation. One was that Jiang Ci had reached the full nascent soul stage, and his control of the nascent soul stage's spiritual power had reached the extreme. Only those in the nascent soul stage could detect it. The other possibility was that Jiang Ci had reached the nascent soul stage. Impossible. It's only been 3 years. Qing Yi directly denied these two speculations. 3 years ago, Hu Yan mentioned to him several geniuses on Earth, and Jiang Ci was one of them. He knew that Jiang Ci was still at the golden core stage 3 years ago. Thinking of this, Qing Yi was relieved. He did not put Jiang Ci in his eyes, and then directly used his spiritual sense to transmit his voice to the flying ship behind Jiang Ci. Hu Yan, why did you betray us? Because Master treats me better. Hu Yen chuckled and just said a simple sentence. Chapter 293. Master? Qin Ye's expression changed, but before he could react. However, he heard a burst of laughter from Jiangxi's telegnosis ability. Forget about reminiscing about the past. Your Qing Xian sect is always thinking about grabbing the fated chances of your disciples. You want to do something good without risking anything. It would be strange if people don't rebel. Kid, how dare you humiliate my Qing Xian sect? Qing Yi was furious. A blood-red battle saber appeared in his hand. The saber was suffused with a thick blood-red light as it slashed towards Jiang Xi. At the same time, the blood territory spread out in the starry sky. The monstrous blood qi seemed to be able to corrode one's soul. This was a complete Tao territory. An invincible nascent soul stage technique. Good timing. Jiang Xi was not afraid at all. His body flickered as if he had penetrated through space. In the next moment, he had crossed hundreds of miles. The upper-grade spiritual weapon, Killing Shadow Sword, condensed a thin and misty sword shadow. It was accompanied by a layer of blade-like wind and blazing fire. 3 layers of Daoist arts suddenly stabbed out. This sword instantly defeated Qin Ye's blood-red saber light. In the universe's vacuum, there was only a dazzling explosion of light, but there was no sound. It was extremely strange. What? Impossible. Qin Ye's expression changed. He was an invincible nascent soul stage cultivator. And Riverward was actually able to easily defeat his attack. What did this mean? Jiang Xi was also an invincible nascent soul stage cultivator. Nothing is impossible. Goodbye. Jiang Xi smiled indifferently. The sword's power did not decrease. It suddenly pierced through space and arrived in front of Qin Yi. This sword. Jiang Xi can't be so strong. You're not Jiang Xi. Who are you? Qin Yi was shocked. He slashed out with his saber and at the same time, his body swayed as he tried to dodge Jiang Xi's sword. Who am I? Sorry, a dead man has no right to know. Jiang Xi's voice was transmitted to Qin Ye's mind through his spiritual consciousness. Then, Qin Yi realized that his head was separating from his body, but he did not feel any pain. Strange. What a fast sword. Qin Ye's consciousness gradually dissipated. Even with his invincible nascent soul strength, he was actually unable to dodge this sword. In the end, a thought flashed across his mind. This is the primordial soul stage. You have killed a cultivator in the late nascent soul stage. Experience points plus 3,800. Jiang Xi casually swung his sword as he listened to the notification on the EXP panel. Not far away, after Qin Ye's corpse lost its inertia, it quietly floated in space and was quickly frozen by the extremely cold temperature of the vacuum. Only blankness remained in those frost-covered eyes. Until his death, he still did not know whether the person in front of him was Jiang Xi or not. Why would he have the battle prowess of a nascent soul cultivator? Nascent soul stage? Barely. Jiang Xi looked at Qin Ye's corpse with an indifferent expression. With a wave of his hand, he retrieved Qin Ye's storage magic treasure. He looked at the experience panel. Cultivation level, Nascent Soul, Late Stage 1, 06 million, 1, 06 million, Dao Techniques, Gale Domain, 50000/50000000, Fire Domain, 5000000/50000000, Sword Intent, 1000000/10000000, Amplitude, 100 Deduction, 10,000 Experience Points per Use Cultivation Technique, Purple Firmament Sword Sutra, Peacock Visualization Experience Points, 415. 86 million, this was the result of his 2 years of cultivation, opening, and cultivation, cheating. Perfected Nascent Soul Stage. Perfected Fire Domain. In addition to the perfected Gale Domain and Sword Intent. All in all, His overall combat strength surpassed the invincible nascent soul stage and barely reached the early stage nascent soul stage. Of course, if he encountered a real nascent soul stage cultivator, he would definitely not be their match. Even the weakest nascent soul stage cultivator had a preliminary understanding of the Tao of heaven and earth. It was much stronger than a Tao domain. There are countless nascent soul cultivators in the Tao Alliance. Even after thousands of years, they still can't reach the invincible nascent soul stage, let alone reach the nascent soul stage. I improved so much in 2 years. It's not bad. Jiang Xi understood that this was mainly due to the EXP panel and his own hard work. The EXP required to reach the nascent soul stage was much more than the golden core stage. The early stage nascent soul stage required 810,000, the mid-stage 940,000, and the late stage 1.06 million. A total of 2.81 million experience points. It might seem a lot, but with the EXP panel, it was just a matter of eating 10,000-year-old spiritual fruits. In the past 2 years, the one that consumed the most experience points was the fire domain. Starting from the true intent of fire, it consumed nearly 50 million experience points before it reached the fire domain. Then, it consumed another 5 million experience points to upgrade the fire domain to the perfected level. However, his experience points did not decrease. Instead, it increased. It exceeded 400 million. This was because he had killed many monsters on Earth in the past 2 years. Especially the monsters in the sea. Some of the 4 oceans on Earth often turned into a sea of blood. It could not be helped. There were too many monsters in the sea. After solving the crisis brought by the Qing Xian sect, it's time to tidy up Earth. Jiang Xi thought to himself. After all, he was the Lord of Earth. Before that, there's one more person I need to deal with. Jiang Xi focused his gaze and turned to the other flying ship in the starry sky. When he took Qin Ye's storage treasure, he did not turn off the other party's communication pearl. Therefore, old ancestor Qin Xian's voice had not disappeared yet. Jiang Xi flashed and directly penetrated the formation enchantment of the upper-grade flying ship and landed on the deck. Jiang Xi. Old ancestor Qin Xian. Both of them called each other's name to show their respect. At this time, old ancestor Qin Xian no longer treated Jiang Xi as a junior. Just now, Jiang Xi killed Qin Yi, who was invincible in the nascent soul realm. This proved that Jiang Xi was also a powerhouse at the nascent soul realm. And Jiang Xi would not underestimate this legendary cultivator in the Kanglan Star region who was known as the Blood Disciple. Can you transfer Earth to me? Old ancestor Qin Xian asked. Are you daydreaming? Earth is my hometown. If I were to buy your hometown, would you be willing? Jiang Xi sneered. No problem. As long as you can transfer Earth to me, not only my hometown planet. The Qin Xian sect and the thousands of vital planets under its control can all be used to exchange with you. Old ancestor Qin Xian was very decisive. You are really crazy. Jiang Xi sneered. In order to reach a higher realm, so what if I have to give up everything? Old ancestor Qin Xian disagreed. Then I hope the next time we meet, you can block my second sword. Jiang Xi nodded gently. You are crazy enough. Don't worry, I will not give up Earth. Old ancestor Qin Xian's eyes were suffused with a bloody light. Even through the transmission, one could feel the determination in his eyes. Then, he took the initiative to end the transmission. Because he also read Jiang Xi's determination from Jiang Xi's words. People must have something in their hearts. In old ancestor Qin Xian's heart, there was only the pursuit of becoming stronger. For this, he could give up everything. What was Jiang Xi holding? It was Jiang Daodu, it was home. Whether it was in his previous life or this life, he was born on Earth, and Jiangdudu was his only family now. Even if Earth did not have many secrets and was an ordinary vital planet, he would not exchange it. So what if he had thousands of vital planets? If his home was gone, no matter how much he wanted in the end, His heart would only feel empty. As for becoming stronger, with the experience points panel, he would become stronger sooner or later. Chapter 294. However, Jiang Xi was not relaxed. Elder Qing Xian was still alive, which was a hidden danger. When he used his spiritual sense to detect Qing Yi and Elder Qing Xian, he found that the two of them were using the astrolabe to check the many ruins on Earth. He knew that Qing Yi must have recorded this with the astrolabe when he sneaked into Earth. In other words, Elder Qing Xian already knew the basic situation of Earth. Earth. What secrets does it have? Jiang Xi smiled bitterly. After reaching the nascent soul stage, he had almost turned Earth upside down in the past 2 years. He was even more thorough than Qing Yi. Therefore, he knew everything about the relics on Earth. Taoism, Buddhism, ghost race, demon race, sea race, and so on. He even found some traces of the Sword Gate in Shu Mountain Prefecture. Combined with the myths and legends that had been passed down since ancient times in the Xia Empire, Jiang Xi felt that the veil covering Earth was getting thicker and thicker. The stronger he was, the more he could sense the horror hidden in the mystery. No matter what, Earth must not be exposed. Since Elder Qing Xian has his eyes on Earth, he will not give up until he reaches his goal. He will not easily reveal the situation of Earth, unless he really feels that there is no hope. I have to find a way to deal with this threat. After returning to Earth from the starry sky near Mars, Jiang Xi was still thinking about this problem. Unfortunately, he did not know where Elder Qing Xian was. According to Hu Yan, Elder Qing Xian had left Qing Xian sect 2,000 years ago and his whereabouts were unknown. He did not even appear when Qing Xian's sect was in danger. Of course, even if he knew where Elder Qing Xian was, he was no match for him. It seems that I can only rely on the heavenly court of the Tao Alliance. After Jiang Xi made up his mind, he did not hesitate and directly went to planet Songlan through the interstellar teleportation array of the first moon. At the Tao Alliance building in Linhai City, he found the law enforcement department of the Tao Alliance's planet Songlan office. Then, he handed in the relevant evidence that he had sorted out. As the Lord of Earth, someone had broken into his territory and attacked without restraint. This kind of banditry was extremely vile. As the intruder, Qing Yi, had already been killed by him. Therefore, he was requesting the heavenly court of the Tao Alliance to arbitrate Patriarch Qing Xian and the Azure Mystic sect. The Tao Alliance had decreed that private territory was sacred and inviolable. In just half an hour, 1 late-stage primal divinity cultivator and 10 nascent soul cultivators formed the Tao Alliance's enforcers of the heavenly court. He left through the Linhai City's teleportation hall. His destination was the Tianshan galaxy where the Qing Xian sect was located. Such a commotion alarmed many experts on the blue planet, because it had been over 1,000 years since they had seen such a scene. The Ashen Blue Planet was a 6th-ranked planet, which was why the heavenly court of the Tao Alliance stationed here were all quite powerful. The strongest law enforcer that was stationed there was named Earth. He was a late-stage essence soul cultivator. Something that could make Earth personally enforce the law was definitely not simple. His opponent might also be a primordial spirit cultivator. All of a sudden, all the cultivators above the primordial soul stage stopped their closed-door cultivation and focused on this matter. Jiang Xi hadn't expected this either. All he had done was make a request. He hadn't expected the Tao Alliance's heavenly court to send out such a powerful force. A late-stage essence soul cultivator had actually appeared. This was already an expert on the same level as the sect master of the Zhangyan sect. In a situation where Tao integration cultivators' whereabouts were unknown, late-stage essence soul cultivators could be said to be the strongest in a galaxy. They should be wary of Patriarch Qing Xian. Jiang Xi wasn't sure. However, he felt that this wasn't the reason. Although Patriarch Qing Xian had a record of killing primordial soul cultivators, his actual cultivation was still at the perfected nascent soul stage. Under such circumstances, they only needed to send out a primordial soul cultivator. There was no need to send out a late-stage essence soul cultivator. Jiang Ci couldn't figure it out no matter how much he thought about it. He tossed this question to the back of his mind. No matter what the reason was, now that a late-stage essence soul cultivator had appeared, he might be able to get rid of Patriarch Qing Xian. Actually, Jiang Ci didn't know that this involved a secret from 2,000 years ago. Back then, the early-stage essence soul cultivator that Patriarch Qing Xian killed was Eartha's younger brother. After Patriarch Qing Xian did this, he immediately fled to another galaxy and hid in an unknown barren galaxy. His whereabouts were unknown. Due to the restrictions of the Tao Alliance, the enraged Earth couldn't casually destroy the Azure Mystic sect that Patriarch Qing Xian had left behind. The Azure Mystic sect was one of the top 10 immortal Tao sects in the Pale Blue Star region. He was the strongest cultivator of the Tao Alliance's heavenly court stationed in the Pale Blue Star region. If he made a move, it would definitely cause a huge commotion and bring about punishment from the Tao Alliance's heavenly court. Therefore, he could only endure it. At the same time, he would search for Patriarch Qing Xian's traces. And now, Jiang Ci had provided him with an opportunity. The Azure Mystic sect had committed a crime. Even after 2,000 years, he wouldn't forget such a deep blood feud. The Heaven Mountain Galaxy was a famous and prosperous galaxy in the Pale Blue Star region. The Azure Mystic sect controlled 6 vital planets here, which were also their headquarters. On this day, the cultivators on these 6 vital planets were massacred. The perpetrators were the law enforcers of the Tao Alliance's Heavenly Court office in the Pale Blue Star region. Nearly 300,000 cultivators, from the spirit vessel to the golden core to the nascent soul stage, were killed. Not a single one was spared. The planet where the Azure Mystic sect's headquarters was located was even split apart by Earth's 3 axes. Lava erupted from the planet's core, turning the entire planet into a purgatory. The Azure Mystic sect was destroyed. Soon, the news spread. Countless powerful vital planets in the Pale Blue Star region were in an uproar. The Azure Mystic sect was one of the top 10 immortal Tao sects in the Pale Blue Star region. Although it had only been established for 3,000 years, Forefather Qing Xian's strength was widely acknowledged in the Pale Blue Star region. Many cultivators knew about the secret incident 2,000 years ago. They were aware of the grudge between Earth and Forefather Qing Xian. Therefore, some people accused Earth and the enforcers of being cruel and merciless. Some even reported to the Heavenly Court and asked for Earth's punishment. However, when the enforcers announced that the Azure Mystic sect had trespassed on someone else's territory and almost killed their lord, all the cultivators in the Pale Blue Star region were furious. In an instant, the angry voices of accusation disappeared without a trace. The Azure Mystic sect had violated the Tao Alliance's laws. Jiang Ci's mountaintop manor in Linhai City on the Pale Blue Star had been named Daoda Manor by Jiang Dudu. After submitting the application at the Tao Alliance building, Jiang Ci returned here. When he heard that the Azure Mystic sect had been destroyed and that nearly 300,000 cultivators had been implicated, he was shocked. Jiang Ci was very calm. His expression did not change at all. However, he was a little disappointed. Because just now, the enforcers of the Tao Alliance had sent him a message. They searched the entire Heaven Mountain Galaxy but could not find Forefather Qing Xian. What a ruthless person. He did not even react when his base was destroyed. Looks like I can only deal with all changes by sticking to the status quo. Jiang Ci shook his head. No matter where Earth would go in the future because of Forefather Qing Xian, he had to work hard to improve his strength. Strength was the foundation of everything. As long as he was strong enough, he would not be afraid of anyone. Chapter 295. After the matter of the Qing Xian sect came to an end for the time being, Jiang Ci took the time to take a look at the development of the Mountain Sea Star trade. The headquarters of the Mountain Sea Star trade was set up on a floating island in the sea next to Linhai City. The overall development in the past 2 years was good. This was because the Wen siblings had a deeper understanding of their ancestral refining inheritance. With their core technical guidance, the spiritual weapons refined by the refiners were mostly of excellent quality. With such an advantage, the business of the Mountain Sea Star trade had expanded to hundreds of life galaxies in the pale blue star region. Of course, the main business was still low-grade spiritual weapons. Not to mention the low cost, the main reason was that the number of low-grade cultivators was the largest, and the market was large. The turnover of the Mountain Sea Star trade has increased from the initial 1 million low-grade spiritual crystals to the current 80 million low-grade spiritual crystals. Our farthest station has developed to the Orph galaxy in the pale blue star region. Shenwansi, the general manager of the Mountain Sea Star trade, proudly introduced the latest development of the group to Jiang Ci. Jiang Ci listened to Shenwansi's introduction and nodded slightly. His expression was indifferent, but his heart was shocked. In the past 2 years, he had been busy dealing with the Qing Xian sect and did not pay much attention to the development of the Mountain Sea Star trade. He did not expect the Mountain Sea Star trade to develop so quickly. The total turnover in 2 years had increased by 80 times. The 80 million low-grade spiritual crystals turnover, after deducting all expenses, had at least 60% of the net profit, which was almost 50 million low-grade spiritual crystals. And he had half of the shares in the Mountain Sea Star trade, which was 25 million low-grade spiritual crystals. Back then, he had only invested 500,000. The spiritual weapon trade was indeed a top industry. This was robbery. However, the main contributor to the rapid development is Jiang Ji's 2 grand disciples. Now, the refiners of the Mountain Sea Star trade are almost treating them as grandmasters. He is being treated like a master craftsman. Shenwansi praised again. Well, not bad. Jiang Ci nodded lightly. He thought to himself, the refining inheritance of the Wen siblings was passed down by a Dao reunion expert. How can it be bad? Next, Jiang Ci looked around the headquarters of the Mountain Sea Star trade. He found that the Wen siblings were seriously guiding the refiners, so he did not disturb them. He left with a satisfied mood. With the Mountain Sea Star trade as a cash cow, he would not have to worry about the resources he needed for cultivation. Shenwansi respectfully sent Jiang Ci to the door until he could no longer see Jiang Ci's figure. Only then did he turn around and go back. As for the changes in Jiang Ci's cultivation, he didn't even ask. Firstly, he had to be polite and not pry into other people's cultivation. Secondly, in his opinion, Jiang Ci might have originally been in the late nascent soul stage, but he didn't show it before. Otherwise, it would have been very difficult for Jiang Ci to survive the Dao integration inheritance incident on Morong planet a few years ago if he had only been at the golden core stage. Only those in the late nascent soul stage could escape unscathed from such a situation. No matter what, Shenwansi now felt that he had made the right decision to meet Jiang Ci outside the teleportation hall on planet Sanglan. This mysterious and noble descendant of an ancient family casually gave him a hand. From a small interstellar merchant, he had become an elite among the interstellar merchants. However, he knew that he was still far from being a big interstellar merchant. Therefore, he had to hold on tightly to Jiang Ci's thigh. Sooner or later, he would also become a big interstellar merchant. At night, when Yoxin and Wen Feng returned to Daoda Manor. During the day, they were guiding the artifact refiners. After learning that Jiang Ci had come to planet Sanglan, they immediately returned. Greetings, Uncle Granduncle. The Wen siblings bowed. No need to be so polite. Let me ask you, is Shenwansi reliable? Jiang Ci asked directly. When Yoxin and Wen Feng looked at each other. Then, Wen Feng said, based on my observations over the past 2 years, there are no problems at the moment. He's doing his best. He used to be the head hunter of the dark net on planet Morong and was good at gathering information. Naturally, he also had the ability to recognize people. Jiang Ci nodded slightly relieved. After all, the Mountain Sea Star trade was developing better and better, and the business side was in Shenwansi's hands. If it wasn't reliable, it would be easy for the Mountain Sea Star trade's vitality to be greatly damaged. Jiang Ci circled around in his heart, looking for an opportunity to make sure. It was not that he didn't trust others, but he had to be vigilant. However, after thinking for a while, he said to the Wen siblings, don't forget about cultivation. After all, cultivation is the foundation. The art of artifact refinement can be studied slowly. Don't worry, Uncle Granduncle. In fact, the Wen family's artifact refinement inheritance and cultivation complement each other. The higher the attainment of artifact refinement, the faster the improvement of cultivation. Wen Yoxin smiled. This surprised Jiang Xi a little. With a thought, he immediately searched for the inheritance memories of his master, Daoist Gu. Sure enough, he found the introduction of the Wen family inheritance and it did mention this. Jiang Xi sighed in his heart. It was indeed a Dao integration inheritance. Then, he flipped his hand and took out a jade slip with a smile. Yoxin, this is a formation inheritance that I've sorted out. Take it and study it. Don't spread it. Ah! Thank you, Uncle Granduncle. I swear to the heavens that I will never spread it. Otherwise, I'll be struck by lightning. Wen Yoxin was very surprised and swore repeatedly. Jiang Xi smiled. He had promised to give Wen Yoxin the formation inheritance 2 years ago on Murong planet. The array formation inheritance in this jade slip was also carefully selected by him from his inherited memories. In total, it was less than 1% of the entire formation inheritance. However, if this 1% was spread, it would cause a great disturbance in the entire Blue Star region. Jiang Xi and Jiang Daodu would only be alone after the Wen siblings had left for the manor's side courtyard. Jiang Daodu was also working hard on her cultivation. With the guidance of a Dao integration remnant soul, the little girl's cultivation progress was faster. If she didn't count the 3 hibernation upgrades, her current cultivation speed had increased by at least 10 times. Just now, when Jiang Xi was talking with the Wen siblings, Jiang Daodu was also listening. She said with a serious expression, "Brother, let me manage the Mountain Sea Star trade." Manage it? Don't joke around. You're only 20 years old. The employees of the Mountain Sea Star trade are at least 100 years old. They're all very smart. Jiang Xi shook his head. Don't look down on me. I'm only 20 years old, but I have old Yin by my side. She's an old demon who has lived for more than 10,000 years. Jiang Daodu wrinkled her nose. Jiang Xi's eyes lit up. He had forgotten about this. With the tool refinement skills left behind by a Dao integration stage powerful being, he had no doubts about the future of the Mountain Sea Star trade. However, in the current Mountain Sea Star trade, only Wen Yoxin and Wen Feng could be considered as his own people. It was fine if the scale was small now, but if it grew larger one day, he wouldn't feel at ease without a reliable person to rely on. If Jiang Daodu took over the management, there would be no problem with Yin Tianqing's guidance. An old demon who had lived for more than 10,000 years had many tricks up her sleeves. Controlling an interstellar trading group would be child's play. Thus, the two of them happily made a decision. Jiang Daodu was naturally very happy. She cheered like a child who had received her favorite toy. This scene made Jiang Xi's eyelids twitch. He was considering whether to take back his previous decision. Chapter 296. In the end, Jiang Daodu stayed on planet Sanglan and became the chairman of Shanghai Star Trade. She did not return to Earth with Jiang Xi. Because she had her own considerations. Seeing that Jiang Xi's strength was increasing faster and faster, she would soon be unable to see Jiang Xi's back. Jiang Daodu did not want to chase after Jiang Xi all the time. She also wanted to help Jiang Xi do something. The appearance of Shanghai Star Trade gave her a chance. She decided to develop Shanghai Star Trade with the help of Old Yin and become a powerful help on Jiang Xi's cultivation path. And Jiang Xi returned to Earth. Because there were still many things to deal with. For example, solving the monster problem that had plagued humans on Earth since the recovery of spirit energy. Counting the time, this problem had existed for a full 110 years. New Moon Year 99, December 31st. Today was the day that the fate of Earth would be changed. Earth, Xia Kingdom, Xian Tian City. On this day, a shocking scene took place. After the recovery of spirit energy, only the top powerhouses of the 5 major countries flew in the air and gathered here. This was only secondary. What was even more shocking was, 10 terrifying great demon figures flew in the sky. They were the dragon python, black turtle, white crane, and lion king on land. The dragon whale king, octopus king, tiger shark king, seahorse king, turtle king, and crocodile king in the ocean. They were all at the golden core stage. If they did not know that the powerhouses of the 5 major countries had arrived at Xiantian City, everyone would have thought that the monsters were about to attack Xiantian City. At this time, in the largest conference hall of Xiantian City, there was a long, wide table. The cultivators of Xia Kingdom were led by Jiang Xi and Huang Kun. Xian Tian and Li Baibai sat on the left and right sides of the table. On the left side of the long table, there were 6 golden core cultivators of the reclusive families, the Qin family, Shu Jia, Han family, and so on. Even the Zombie Ma family's ancestor had come. On the right side of the long table, there were 4 golden core cultivators of Peacock Country, Shadow Country, Sacred Alliance, and Alpha Star. Among them, the gold core stage cultivator from the Alpha Star only broke through last year. The 4 of them frowned, feeling a little uneasy. He didn't know why Jiang Xi, who had been in seclusion for 3 years, suddenly summoned everyone. Last time, Jiang Xi's invasion drill had already scared them out of their wits. Today, I've gathered everyone here to discuss some matters with the great demons. But before that, we humans on Earth need to unify our battle lines. Jiang Xi knocked on the table and paused to attract everyone's attention. Let's put it simply. From today onwards, the Earth Alliance will be established. With my Xia Kingdom as the leader, it will be called the Great Xia Alliance. Does everyone agree or disagree? Jiang Xi smiled. His voice was soft but domineering. His gaze swept over the golden core cultivators of the hidden families and the other 4 countries. I have no objections. Huang Kun was the first to speak. Among the people present, his cultivation was the lowest. He was only at the spirit nourishment stage, but he represented the Great Xia Kingdom. Agreed. Xian Tian smiled. Agreed. Li Baibai also smiled. Agreed. Agreed. None of the 6 golden core cultivators of the hidden families objected. After all, they were also from the Great Xia Kingdom. Even the late-stage golden core elder of the Ma family agreed. It was as if Jiang Xi wasn't his enemy at all. In fact, the elder of the Ma family was now very afraid of Jiang Xi. He had lived for 1,000 years and had a keen sense. He could faintly feel a terrifying aura from Jiang Xi. Nascent soul. His stiff face was also filled with horror. He was scared. The only ones left were the 4 foreign golden core cultivators. They could be said to be the pillars of the 4 countries. They were the fundamental guarantee of survival and deterred the monsters around the cities of their respective countries. Facing Jiang Xi's overbearingness, the 4 of them only felt extremely bitter in their hearts. They knew that this day had finally come. The cultivators of the Great Xia Kingdom were too strong. They couldn't catch up at all. Instead, the gap between them was getting bigger and bigger. Agreed. Everyone gritted their teeth and spat out these 2 words with difficulty. Very good, you will soon cheer for this decision. Jiang Xi chuckled. Bullshit. The 4 foreign cultivators squeezed out a smile on their faces, but they were cursing in their hearts. At this moment, Jiang Xi stood up and walked out. Let's go out and meet those great demons. Everyone followed. In the sky above Xiantian City, the 10 great demons were still hovering in the air. The great demons didn't know what Jiang Xi's purpose was. Because of the previous invasion of the foreign enemy, the dragon python and the black tortoise had witnessed Jiang Xi's strength. Under the propaganda of the 2 of them, the other great demons basically knew how terrifying Jiang Xi was. Therefore, they didn't dare to make a move now and could only wait here. Of course, there was also a great demon who was impatient. The Tiger Shark King from the Atlantic Ocean was tyrannical by nature and had been waiting anxiously for a long time. The dignified king of the billions of sea monsters was actually waiting here for a small human. Moreover, he was being watched by these humans. The Tiger Shark King's aura was getting stronger and stronger, wanting to erupt. After the dragon python and the black tortoise tried to persuade him, they found that it was useless and ignored him. They knew that this demon was courting death. In fact, the Tiger Shark King lived in the depths of the Atlantic Ocean all year round and didn't pay much attention to the human cultivation world. Therefore, he didn't know how terrifying Jiang Xi was. What's more, he had always regarded humans as food. Even with the reminder of the dragon python and the black tortoise, he didn't believe that humans could be so strong. Everyone was at the gold core stage, why was he so powerful? Whoosh! A total of 14 human cultivators appeared in front of them. Huang Kun was at the spirit nurturing stage and couldn't fly yet. However, with Jiang Xi's Gale domain, it didn't matter if he couldn't fly. Roar! Humans, what do you want to do? The Tiger Shark King roared with an aggressive aura. Jiang Xi frowned slightly, thinking that today was a friendly negotiation. He relaxed his brows. Then he smiled and said, I want to discuss the future of humans and monsters with you. In short, I want you to move with the monsters on Earth. Move? My home is in the Atlantic Ocean, where do you want me to move to? The Tiger Shark King's tone was very aggressive. Jiang Xi smiled, I have prepared 4 grotto heavens for the monsters on land. As for the monsters in the sea, I have prepared a little more, a total of 6 grotto heavens. Each of these grotto heavens is enough to meet the normal survival needs of 100 million monsters. My request is, except for ordinary creatures, all the evolved and mutated monsters must move into these 10 grotto heavens. And you 10 gold core stage demons, speaking of this, the Tiger Shark King suddenly said angrily, Human, you are courting death. You actually want to lock us up. Jiang Xi's face turned cold, noisy. He directly slapped with his palm, and the Gale domain swept over with a whistling sound. Roar! What? The Tiger Shark King swung his tail and wanted to escape in horror. Crash! But how could a little early gold core stage escape from Jiang Xi's attack? In just an instant, he was crushed by Jiang Xi's palm. Chapter 297. The early gold core stage Tiger Shark King, after refining and condensing his spirit power, his huge body was still 10 feet long. At this time, it instantly turned into a pile of flesh and blood, mixed with crushed bones. But it did not fall, strange and terrifying. This scene stunned everyone and the demons. They couldn't believe it. Even the early gold core stage great demon couldn't withstand Jiang Xi's palm. How powerful was Jiang Xi? The eyes of the 4 foreign practitioners were filled with terror, lingering fear, and relief. They finally understood why Jiang Xi said that they would cheer for his decision. It turned out that disagreeing meant death. The 6 gold core stage cultivators of the reclusive family also looked at each other with a wry smile and helplessness. The protagonist of this era was not them after all. But the 3 in front of them, Jiang Xi, Xian Tian, and Li Baibai. Jiang Xi ignored the shock of these people and demons. He waved his hand and put the Tiger Shark King's flesh and blood essence into a new storage ring. Then he handed it to Huang Kun and smiled, Elder Huang, with so much gold core stage flesh and blood essence, it is estimated that it can be used to cultivate several spirit nurturing stage martial artists for the military. Keep it well. Huh, is there such a good thing? I think it's better to kill all these great demons. Huang Kun's eyes lit up. The 9 gold core stage great demons including the dragon python and the black tortoise were so scared that their bodies trembled. Of course, Jiang Xi couldn't really kill them. Keeping these great demons was still useful. When he explored the Earth before, he had already figured out the distribution of the Earth's monsters. The monsters on land and in the sea were added together, not counting those ordinary creatures that had not evolved and mutated. The number of F-class and above monsters exceeded 1 billion. 10 Grotto Heaven's secret realms. Now that the Tiger Shark King was dead, there were only 9 left. It was more than enough to put all these monsters in. These gold core stage great demons, as the kings of the Earth's monsters, played a leading role. Well, it was equivalent to letting the gold core stage great demons help him manage the huge monster group in disguise. After the monsters moved in, Jiang Ci would set up a sealing array at the entrance of these Grotto Heaven's secret realms with his current attainments in formations. The sealing formations that he had set up were already sufficient. Next time, when the level of the array formation improved, he could just reinforce it. After all, the most powerful monsters on Earth were these few Golden Core realm monsters. Then, the 9 Grotto Heavens were divided into different levels of difficulty. They were simply named from the first secret realm to the 9th secret realm. The overall strength of the monsters living there increased accordingly. In the end, the Great Xia Alliance, which he had forcibly formed, was formed. With the Great Xia Kingdom as the leader, they would establish a global martial arts association and establish a more perfect martial artist nurturing system. For example, he wanted to establish more college of martial arts and make the competition more reasonable. As for the 9 great secret realms where the monsters were sealed, they became the training grounds for human warriors. As for whether it was too extravagant to give these Grotto Heavens and secret realms to the monsters, Jiang Ci had already considered this beforehand. After his careful investigation of Earth, he found that there were more than 100 Grotto Heavens and secret realms of various sizes. As for these 9, he had checked them multiple times. They weren't very valuable. Even if they were valuable, he had already taken them away. For example, the Grotto Heaven's secret realms in the 6 seas were all left behind by the oceanic race. They had long been empty. The 9 Grotto Heavens and secret realms also had one thing in common: they were large in size. The size of each secret realm was at least comparable to the Great Xia Kingdom. 2 of them were even comparable to the entire Asian continent. In this way, when human warriors went in to train, the situation was similar to when they were training in the wilderness. Jiang Ci had once imagined that he could slaughter all these monsters and turn them into experience points. However, after thinking about it, why kill them all? Couldn't he just raise them? Then, he could keep these monsters and use them as sparring partners for the human warriors on Earth. After all, only by going through battles could one become stronger. In the more than 100 years since the recovery of spirit energy, the human warriors on Earth had gone through this. It could be said that Earth was Jiang Ci's foundation. Only when Earth's overall strength was stronger and more powerhouses appeared could Earth not be afraid of the changes that might occur in the future relying on him alone. History had proven that at any time, when a force could only rely on one person, it would decline and even perish. In the following year, the monsters on Earth carried out a great migration, and the human warriors also carried out a great integration at the same time. No matter when or where, there was no escape from the 4 words, "The strong are respected." Jiang Ci's strength was enough to crush all the warriors and cultivators on Earth. No one dared to object. Even if there would only be one result: death. Those who submit to me will prosper, and those who oppose me will perish. This was the eternal truth. While Earth was undergoing these changes, Jiang Ci did not leave. He wanted to see the completion of these changes with his own eyes. During this period, he once again explored several important places. For example, Mount Tai, Mount E, and so on. Unfortunately, with his current strength, he couldn't find anything even after using his spiritual awareness to explore inch by inch in these places. Other than the slightly richer spirit energy, there was nothing else unusual. Perhaps, my strength is not enough. Or perhaps, there really is nothing left. Jiang Ci knew very well that these places, which had left a lot of color in myths and legends, were not as simple as they seemed on the surface. In addition to the ones on Earth, he also explored the 2 moons. The first moon was still dead silent and incomparably bleak. The dilapidated Guanghan Palace and the interstellar teleportation array told of the endless years here. Jiang Xi originally thought that with his current combat strength that had barely reached the early stage of the Essence Soul Realm, he could touch the second moon that seemed to be in another time and space. Unfortunately, when he flew to the starry sky where the second moon was, it was still empty. Only his eyes could see it, but he could not touch it, nor could he touch it. His spiritual consciousness could not discover it either. The brand new Guanghan Palace was magnificent, as if there was a faint immortal sound echoing in this starry sky. This moon that had started the recovery of Earth's spirit energy once again revealed its mysterious veil to Jiang Xi. Mysterious. There is only one conclusion. I am still too weak. Jiang Xi smiled helplessly. If he wanted to unveil these mysterious veils, he still needed to continue to work hard and cultivate. His cultivation had already reached the peak of the nascent soul realm. Among the three major Tao techniques, the Gale domain and the Fire domain had also reached perfection. Only the Sword intent had been lagging behind. Now, if he wanted to improve his strength again, there were two ways. First, through the Sword intent and the Purple Cloud Sword scripture, he could deduce a higher level of the Sword domain. At that time, his strength would be greatly enhanced, and his actual combat strength might be able to surpass the early stage of the Essence Soul realm in one fell swoop. After all, the Sword domain was one of the top Tao domains. In the perfect state, it was comparable to an ordinary Tao of heaven and earth that had just been comprehended. Second, he could deduce the next stage of the Gale domain or the Fire domain, the path of Gale and the path of Fire. These two rare Taos of heaven and earth, as long as he could deduce one of them. After the domain turned into Tao, he could refine his spiritual consciousness, condense his essence soul, and become an essence soul realm cultivator. Chapter 298. Daoist Ge's cultivation was already at the peak of the Tao integration stage when he was alive, and he had a very profound understanding of Tao techniques. In the inheritance memories that he left for Jiang Xi, there was also a detailed explanation of the types of Tao techniques. Simply put, the types of Tao techniques were divided into three levels: special, rare, and ordinary. In terms of power, the special level Tao techniques were naturally the strongest. For example, the Tao techniques comprehended through these weapons were all of the special level. The rare level, like the Gale and Li Fire that Jiang Xi had comprehended so far, belonged to this category. As for the ordinary level Tao techniques, they didn't seem to match Jiang Xi's status. Then, Jiang Xi compared the two paths in front of him. Under the premise of perfection, the Sword intent's spirit power amplitude is 20 times, while the Gale intent and Li Fire intent are 10 times, a difference of 2 times. After the Gale domain and Li Fire domain are perfected, the spirit power amplitude will reach 100 times. If I can deduce the Sword domain, with the lowest deduction of 2 times, after the Sword domain is perfected, the spirit power amplitude will reach 200 times. At that time, my strength will directly double. It doesn't seem like much, but in a battle between experts, sometimes a difference of 0.01 times can determine the outcome. The spirit power amplitude of Tao techniques couldn't be stacked, and he could only choose the highest one. Jiang Xi had already confirmed this point. If I can deduce the Gale Tao or Li Fire Tao, according to the previous 10 times advancement law, when these two Tao techniques of heaven and earth are perfected, they can provide a spirit power amplitude of 1000 times. Obviously, the second path has higher benefits, but the difficulty of deduction is definitely greater. Jiang Xi's eyes flickered as he thought quickly. The benefits were average, and the deduction difficulty was low. The benefits were high, and the deduction difficulty was high. Which path should he choose? After thinking about it, he shook his head and smiled. Is it just to consume more experience points? I'll just walk both paths. Therefore, when the great changes on Earth occurred, Jiang Xi also began his deduction path. Killing monsters, gaining experience points, and deducing Tao techniques. Although the monsters on Earth were moving, it was obvious that as they moved, there were much fewer monsters. Time passed, and in the blink of an eye, a year had passed. New Moon Year 101, January 5th. According to Jiang Xi's plan, Earth had finally completed its first major change. Very soon, after Jiang Xi had completed the sealing of the 9 great monster secret realms, humans would no longer be trapped in various cities. Under the guidance of the newly formed Great Xia Alliance, the humans on Earth began to unify and build new cities on the vast territories that they had recovered. Humans on Earth had finally entered a new stage. A better future. Jiangxi and Jiang Daodu flew side by side in the sky above various places on Earth, witnessing this huge construction scene that was in full swing. When he saw some teenagers in ragged clothes, they were working hard to move bricks. Jiang Daodu suddenly asked, "Brother, there won't be any more street kids in the future, right?" Compared to Jiangxi, she was the one who was truly a vagabond. No one can guarantee that. There will always be vagrants in any era. It could only be said that under the new situation, there would be fewer and fewer homeless people. As long as they are willing to work hard, they will definitely have food, clothes, shelter, and necessities in the future, Jiang Xi said with a smile. That's good. Those who don't work hard deserve to starve to death. Jiang Daodu also laughed. The vast land of Earth had once again returned to the hands of humans. With abundant resources, those who worked hard would never fall to the point of wandering again. After the new situation on Earth was basically determined. Xian Tian and Li Baibai, the 2 battle maniacs, felt bored, so they took Hu Yan to other planets in the Blue Star region to train and fight. As for Jiang Xi and Jiang Daodu, they were leisurely shuttling back and forth between Earth and the Blue Star region. Occasionally, they would go to other galaxies in the Blue Star region to have fun. The Blue Star region had tens of thousands of habitable galaxies. As for the desolate galaxy, it was hard to count and was not included. Each of the tens of thousands of habitable galaxies was at the same level as the Milky Way, covering tens of thousands of habitable planets. If the 2 of them wanted to visit all these places, with their current cultivation and lifespan, there was probably no hope. Therefore, the 2 of them did not forget to cultivate. While Jiang Daodu was cultivating, she would also control the management and development of the entire Mountain Sea Star trade with the help of Yin Tiancheng. Although Yin Tiancheng was not a business genius, she used to be a Dao integration expert after all. She stood at a different height, so she had a better view of the overall situation than Jiang Xi and the others. With her help, the Mountain Sea Star trade controlled by Jiang Daodu developed even faster. The group's spiritual artifact business rapidly expanded in the major habitable galaxies in the Blue Star region. Just like that, time passed day by day. Until one day 2 years later, something unexpected happened. In the most remote Orph galaxy in the Blue Star region. The core planet, Orph planet, was a level 5 habitable planet. There were also nearly 10,000 habitable planets of level 4 and below. On this day, Jiang Xi and Jiang Daodu visited Orph planet. At the same time, as the chairman of the Mountain Sea Star trade, Jiang Daodu also had the purpose of inspecting the group's branches. 4 years ago, the Mountain Sea Star trade's business expanded here. At the headquarters of the Mountain Sea Star trade on Orph planet, Jiang Daodu expressionlessly checked a jade slip with her spiritual sense. This jade slip contained the detailed account books of the Mountain Sea Star trade in the Orph galaxy for the past 4 years. The general manager of the station, Hirue, an early-stage nascent soul cultivator, was standing aside. At this time, Jiang Xi acted as if he was invisible and just watched quietly from the side. He found that Jiang Daodu's eyebrows raised slightly. He was very familiar with this action. The little girl was angry. Sure enough, half a day later, Jiang Daodu frowned and said, "Manager, explain to me the situation of the spiritual artifacts entering and leaving the warehouse on White Bird Planet, Chala Planet, Yucca Planet, these 19 planets in the past 3 years." Hiroe's heart skipped a beat, but his expression remained calm. He smiled without changing his expression and said, "Chairman, there are no interstellar teleportation arrays on White Bird Planet, Chala Planet, and the rest of the 13 planets. They need to use flying ships to transport spiritual artifacts. The interstellar routes from Orf planet to these planets are filled with galactic pirates. Our caravans are often attacked. After a while, Jiang Xi and Jiang Dudu left the Mountain Sea Star Trade's headquarters on Orf planet. Why did you stop investigating? Jiang Xi was a bit confused. This was not in line with Jiang Dudu's personality. Beat the grass to scare the snake and then fish. Jiang Dudu's eyes flashed with wisdom. Oh? The problems in that account book are not just limited to the 13 planets. It can be said that it's rotten to the core. The value of the spiritual artifacts involved is as high as 4 million low-grade spirit crystals. Then just send Hirue to the Tao Alliance's Heavenly Court office and deal with him according to the Tao Alliance's rules. I don't think this matter is that simple. Even if we deal with him, the root of the problem is still not solved. In the future, there will be Wang Rui, Zhang Rui, Li Rui, and so on. Then what do you plan to do? Let's go to White Bird Planet and swagger there. It's a good opportunity to inspect the place and see if there are galactic pirates there. I've never seen a galactic pirate in my life. Jiang Dudu waved her hand. Chapter 299. Jiang Xi and Jiang Daodu drove the flying ship away from Ao Fu Star and flew towards White Bird Star. Ever since he handed over the Mountain Sea Star trade to Jiang Daodu, he did not plan to interfere. In the past 3 years, Jiang Daodu improved very quickly. Not only did her cultivation reach the middle stage of Golden Core. In the field of business, she showed outstanding talent. Now, many of the decisions of the Mountain Sea Star trade came from Jiang Daodu. Yin Tianqing acted as a think tank most of the time, standing from a higher point of view and providing advice. So this time, Jiang Xi wanted to see how Jiang Daodu would solve such a serious business corruption. 4 million low-grade spirit crystals was already more than the entire wealth of an early-stage nascent soul cultivator. If it was not dealt with, this snowball would only get bigger and bigger. After all, the Mountain Sea Star trade was also growing. At the same time, in a luxurious manner on Ao Fu Star, Hiroi stood respectfully in front of a young cultivator. The young man's face was handsome, but it revealed a kind of feminine aura. Young Master Yuan, they really went to White Bird Star. Not bad, you did well. From today onwards, you are the first-level manager of Flying Rainbow Star Trade. Our business in the Ao Fu Star system will also be handed over to you, and you can get 10% of the profits. The young man smiled. Thank you, young Master Yuan. Hiroi was overjoyed. Then, he asked hesitantly, Young Master Yuan, what do we do next? What do we do? Of course, we kill them. They dare to steal our business, isn't that courting death? The young man said casually. Hiroi was relieved. The only thing he was afraid of was Jiang Xi. It would be good if he died. Moreover, he was full of confidence in young Master Yuan's strength and methods. This young Master Yuan in front of him was called Yuan Changshua, a genius of Flying Rainbow sect. He had cultivated for less than 400 years and had already reached the middle stage of nascent soul. At the same time, he was in charge of Flying Rainbow sect's important source of wealth, Flying Rainbow Star Trade. If he could cultivate to the nascent soul stage within 1,000 years, he would have a chance to become the next sect master. As for the Soaring Rainbow sect, they were even worse. This was a top immortal Tao sect in the Kanglan Star region, second only to the Tsangyan sect in terms of comprehensive strength. As for the sect master of the Soaring Rainbow sect, he was at the late stage of the primordial soul stage and was extremely powerful. It was even rumored that there was a Tao integration stage patriarch within the sect. Therefore, with this comparison, in Hiroi's eyes, the Mountain Sea Star trade was nothing. The Soaring Rainbow Star trade was backed by the Soaring Rainbow sect. As for the Mountain Sea Star trader, there was only the late nascent soul stage cultivator that he had just met. Therefore, when Yuan Zhangshua found him 2 years ago, he didn't know what to do. He didn't even think about it before joining Flying Rainbow Star Trade. This time, when Hirue heard that the chairman of the Mountain Sea Star Trade Association was coming to inspect the off-planet branch, he immediately informed Yuan Zhangshua. That was why Jiang Dudu had discovered the problem with the spiritual weapon inventory. In fact, he didn't take Jiang Dudu, who was in the middle stage of the Gold Core realm, seriously. He was only afraid of Jiang Xi, who was in the late nascent soul stage, so his attitude was very respectful. Hirue was very confident that his fake account book was flawless. The problem with the spiritual weapon inventory on the 13 planets was deliberately revealed under Yuan Zhangshua's instructions. The only thing that surprised Hirue was that it only took Jiang Dudu a short time to discover this problem. He thought that this little girl in the middle stage of the Gold Core realm would take 10 days to half a month to figure it out. He didn't expect that she would discover it after half a day. No matter what, these two people with the surname Jiang are going to die. The White Bird planet was about 0.5 light-years away from the off-planet. It would take half a year to reach it if one maintained the speed of light. But there was one thing to mention here, which was what would happen when one's speed reached the speed of light. After the speed of light reaches the speed of light, one can travel to the source space, not the ordinary starry sky travel. Compared to the universe, the source space is 3,600 times smaller, 3,600 to 1. In other words, if the distance between the same two planets in the universe is 3,600 light-years, then the distance in the source space is shortened to 1 light-year. Under the condition of flying at 1 time the speed of light, one can travel 3,600 light-years through the source space in 1 year. Jiang Xi recalled in his heart. This was the information he had long learned through his inherited memories. It was just that in the past, he had always used the interstellar teleportation array to travel and had never used a flying boat for long-distance interstellar travel. It was worth mentioning that the flying boat he was using now was obtained when he killed the sect master of the Qing Xian sect, Qing Yi. It was a high-grade spiritual weapon. And the speed of a high-grade flying boat could reach 1 time the speed of light, which satisfied the minimum requirements for the source space travel. 0.5 light-years in the universe, traveling through the source space, the distance is shortened by 3,600 times. It only takes 1 hour and a quarter to reach the White Bird planet. However, Daoda's goal is to fish, so he definitely can't travel through the source space. Otherwise, where can he go to fish? Jiang Xi drove the flying boat and flew at sublight speed, slowly heading to the White Bird planet. Speaking of which, this was the first time they were traveling in the universe like this. The two of them leaned side by side and looked at the universe through the formation barrier of the flying boat. They admired all kinds of celestial bodies and felt the magic and tranquility of the universe. They didn't feel lonely or bored. It was as if such a scene wouldn't be boring for 10,000 years. A month later, they passed by a desolate galaxy. There were meteorites everywhere. There were no stars, only a few dead planets. Jiang Xi frowned slightly. After his cultivation reached the perfected nascent soul realm, the detection limit of his spirit sense had reached 1,000 kilometers. He found that a black flying boat appeared in the starry sky about 800 kilometers away. Space pirates? It was as if this flying boat had been waiting for them here for a long time. Soon, the other party arrived in front of Jiang Xi's flying boat and blocked its way. There really are galactic pirates? Jiang Daodu stood up in a flash. It's not space pirates. It seems that Helyui's problem is serious. He's on that flying boat now. Jiang Xi's expression was serious. Brother, I seem to have seen that flying boat somewhere. It seems to be Flying Rainbow Star Trade. It seems that Helyui is not only corrupt, but also a traitor. Jiang Daodu's expression turned cold. The biggest star trade group in the Blue Star region was, of course, the Blue Cloud Star Trade. And the biggest spiritual weapon trade group was the Flying Rainbow Star Trade. As the chairman of the Mountain Sea Star Trade, Jiang Daodu naturally knew about the situation of her competitors. Even if she wasn't sure whether the black flying boat was from the Flying Rainbow Star Trade, Helyui's appearance on that flying boat already explained a lot of things. Yes, the other party brought 10 Yuaning realm cultivators. It seems that it was premeditated. Jiang Xi nodded. 10 Yuaning realm cultivators? Brother, can you do it? Why don't we retreat? Jiang Daodu's expression suddenly changed. They were not space pirates. Hey, can a man say no? Jiang Xi knocked on her head. Then, he flashed through the array and appeared in the starry sky. Take the initiative to attack. Jiang Daodu looked at Jiang Xi's back. Although she was worried, she was not afraid. Because Jiang Xi was there, she didn't need to be afraid of anything. Chapter 300. At the same time, there were a total of 10 nascent soul cultivators, including Hiroi. 9 of them had already left the flying ship and were charging over. The leader of the group was a late-stage nascent soul cultivator. He held a long spear and exuded a powerful aura. Uncle Chang, kill them for me. The mid-stage nascent soul Yuan Zhangshua did not leave the black flying ship. Instead, he commanded it remotely. He had already learned from Hiroi that one of the 2 people from the Mountain Sea Star Trade was a late-stage nascent soul cultivator. Therefore, he brought most of the nascent soul cultivators from the Flying Rainbow Star Trade. Fortunately, great-grandfather supported me and even assigned Uncle Chang to me. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to mobilize so many nascent soul cultivators. Yuan Zhangshua seemed to be very relaxed in a situation where he could crush the other party with absolute strength. His great-grandfather was the current sect master of the Flying Rainbow sect. Uncle Chang was naturally the late-stage nascent soul cultivator. His name was Yuan Chang, and he was his great-grandfather's servant. A mere late-stage nascent soul cultivator dares to steal business from the Flying Rainbow Star Trade? He won't even know how he died. Seeing the young man with the long sword also leave the flying ship and step into the starry sky, Yuan Zhangshua smiled. The next moment. What? His smile froze. In the desolate star system densely filled with meteorites, 9 nascent soul cultivators, led by the late-stage nascent soul cultivator Yuan Chang, charged toward Jiang Xi at an extremely fast speed. Yuan Chang took the lead, his long spear like a dragon. A majestic spear shadow that was tens of thousands of meters long swept out 70% of the Dao domain. Behind him, there were 8 other nascent soul cultivators. There were early-stage and mid-stage nascent soul cultivators. Among them was the early-stage nascent soul cultivator, Hiroi. The 8 of them also made their moves, erupting with astonishing energy attacks. The dark starry sky suddenly lit up. It was as if a grand fireworks party was being held. Colorful energy surged wildly and was extremely dazzling. Even the late-stage nascent soul cultivator Yuan Chang did not have the confidence to take on so many powerful attacks at this moment. Jiang Xi's expression was very calm. The gale domain around him spiraled as he flew across the sky. He flashed through the starry sky at an extremely fast speed, leaving behind afterimages. The high-grade spiritual artifact in his hand, the killing shadow sword, condensed a dark red sword shadow. Leaf fire domain power. With a wave of his sword, a sword shadow flew out along with a gust of wind. Noiselessly, it penetrated the spear shadow that was over 10,000 meters long. The scene was extremely strange. The mighty spear shadow actually dissipated into thin air. Moreover, the sword shadow's power did not decrease. In the blink of an eye, it defeated the attacks of the other 8 people. What? Invincible nascent soul. This scene made Yuan Zhangshua's face change abruptly. He was so scared that he sat up on the deck. Then, he drove the flying boat away from this place. In the blink of an eye, it reached the speed of light. The black flying ship disappeared into the origin space. Similarly, Yuan Chang's expression changed drastically. He no longer cared about cursing Yuan Zhangshua. Instead, he looked at Jiang Xi's rapidly approaching figure in horror. Invincible nascent soul. As a late-stage nascent soul realm cultivator, he was naturally aware of the situation when a nascent soul realm cultivator attacked. Perfect control of the original infant stage spiritual energy and the power of the domain. And Jiang Xi's sword was just like that. His spirit power and domain power did not dissipate in the slightest. Completely condensed into one. Compared to that, his spear just now had a very mixed spirit power and domain power, and the degree of condensation was poor. Retreat, retreat, retreat. He roared and transmitted his spiritual sense to everyone. Without him saying, Hiroi and the other original infant stage cultivators also knew. They turned and fled at top speed. Since you've come, don't leave. Jiang Xi's eyes were cold and murderous. He originally thought it was a business corruption incident, but he did not expect it to be an unruly business competition incident. It was very bad. When it came to chasing and escaping, the Gale domain had never disappointed Jiang Xi. Whoosh, the Gale domain immediately spread out, changing the vacuum environment of the universe. Up and down, within a radius of 1,000 kilometers, the Gale howled, forming a spherical space. The casting range of the Dao technique depended on the detection limit of the cultivator's spiritual sense. As the caster, Jiang Xi's cultivation was already at the peak of the original infant stage. His spiritual sense could cover 1,000 kilometers. The 9 original infant stage cultivators who were running for their lives were directly trapped in the Gale domain, and their speed dropped sharply. This Dao domain, 1,000 kilometers. Invincible nascent soul indeed. And it's a wind-related Dao technique. It's over. Yuan Chang despaired. Whoosh! Like the other 8, he tried to use his strongest attack, trying to disperse the Gale domain's power that was binding them. But it was useless. Even though he had comprehended 70% of his Dao domain, he could not shake Jiang Xi's Gale domain. This was because Jiang Xi's Gale domain was a rare Dao technique, while his Mystic Water domain was only a normal Dao technique. Their attacks were destined to be like throwing eggs at a rock. Fellow Daoist, please spare me. I'm willing to give you all my life savings. Yuan Chang chose to beg for mercy. No need. Jiang Xi was unmoved. His figure flashed and caught up with Yuan Chang. A sword condensed again. The sword did not have any energy waves, but it faintly emitted a dark red glow, emitting a terrifying aura. I've cultivated for 2,000 years and finally reached the late stage of the original infant stage. Fellow Daoist, you are so vicious. I'll drag you down with me even if I die. Yuan Chang roared when he saw that his pleading was futile. Whoosh, the immense spiritual power of the late stage of the original infant stage surged violently. His entire body began to expand, and he was about to self-destruct. This trick again. What a joke. Only you are allowed to kill me, but I'm not allowed to kill you. Jiang Xi sneered. Whoosh. The sword stabbed out lightly, but it emitted a terrifying aura. The sword's shadow flew past, and the starry sky trembled. In an instant, it traversed a distance of 100 kilometers. It pierced into Yuan Chang's expanding body. You have killed a late-stage original infant stage cultivator. Experience points plus 3,800. Boom. Boom. A violent explosion occurred in this group of meteorites. The meteorites within a few hundred kilometers shattered and turned into smaller meteorites. It was like the end of the world. In the face of such a powerful explosion, Jiang Xi only had a thought. He used the Gale domain and Li Fire domain to protect himself and Jiang Daodu, who was on the flying ship behind him. As for the 8 early and middle stage original infant stage cultivators, they were miserable. The 2 early stage original infant stage cultivators closest to him were blown to pieces by the power of the explosion. The other 6 people also suffered injuries of varying degrees. Director Jiang, please spare us. Senior, please spare us. Hiroi and the other 6 people were begging for mercy. They were bound by the Gale domain and could no longer escape. Jiang Xi was expressionless. He took light steps and flashed in front of one of them. When the sword was drawn, the person died. You have killed a early stage original infant stage cultivator. Experience points plus 3,000, you have killed a middle stage original infant stage cultivator. Experience points plus 3,400, in an instant, only Hiroi and another middle stage original infant stage cultivator were left. Director Jiang, please spare us. They forced me to do it. Please spare us. Hiroi almost knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. Unfortunately, he was only an early stage original infant stage cultivator. He could not move at all under the restraint of the Gale domain. Forced? Jiang Xi sneered. He pressed his hand on Hiroi's head. Soul Search. Chapter 301. After a while, Jiang Xi returned to his flying ship. Big bro, are they people from Flying Rainbow Star Trade? Jiang Daodu walked up and asked. Yes. Jiang Xi nodded and then said, and a big fish. The early-stage nascent soul realm cultivator who drove the black flying ship away at the beginning is Yuan Zhangshua, who is in charge of Flying Rainbow Star Trade. This was the information he obtained from Helui and the early-stage nascent soul realm cultivator just now. The black flying ship was also a high-grade spirit artifact, so it would be impossible to catch up with it now. Yuan Zhangshua. No wonder. Relying on the excellent quality of our spiritual tools, our Mountain Sea Star Trade has occupied the spiritual tool market of thousands of habitable galaxies in the pale blue star region in recent years. Although I have deliberately avoided Flying Rainbow Star Trade, sometimes the information is not in place, so it is inevitable to touch the other party's market. Jiang Dudu suddenly understood. Soon, she frowned slightly, this is troublesome. We are not afraid of direct business competition, but we are afraid of the other party's tricks. We can't afford to offend Flying Rainbow Sect now. I thought you were not afraid of anything. Jiang Xi joked. I am not a fool. Flying Rainbow Sect is the second most powerful immortal sect in the Blue Star region. The current sect master is a late-stage nascent soul realm cultivator, and it is said that they have a Dao integration stage ancestor. Flying Rainbow Star Trade is the most important source of Flying Rainbow Sect's assets. If we touch their cake, it is normal for them to retaliate. But I didn't expect Flying Rainbow Sect's revenge to come so quickly. They don't follow the rules and don't give us any chance to develop. Jiang Dudu's tone was full of worry. We can give up the development of Mountain Sea Star Trade first. When we become stronger in the future, we can regroup and take back the market. Jiang Xi smiled. He didn't want Jiang Dudu to worry too much. He just wanted her to be happy. Is that so? Mountain Sea Star Trade is your life's work. I don't want it to decline in my hands. Jiang Dudu still didn't want to give up. As long as we can live, we will come back sooner or later. Jiang Xi smiled and comforted. All right then, but it's such a pity. Jiang Dudu was a little dejected. Jiang Xi stood on the deck of the airship and looked at the endless starry sky with a firm gaze. Of course, he also felt that it was a pity that the Mountain Sea Star Trade had grown so much in just 6 short years. Their turnover had increased from 1 million lower spiritual crystals to 1 billion. It was conceivable that the Mountain Sea Star Trade would become a huge interstellar trading group in the future. However, based on the current situation, they were indeed not a match for the soaring Rainbow Sect. Not to mention whether there was a Dao integration stage patriarch, just the late-stage primordial soul stage sect leader was not someone they could deal with. Not to mention, the soaring Rainbow Sect had many other experts. Just like this time, they had mobilized so many nascent soul stage cultivators, and there was even a late nascent soul stage cultivator among them. It wouldn't be surprising if another primordial spirit cultivator appeared. The Flying Rainbow Star Trade under the Flying Rainbow Sect was the largest spiritual artifact trading group in the Blue Star region. Jiang Xi was very clear that if the Mountain Sea Star Trade wanted to develop, it would not be able to avoid them. It would inevitably come into contact with the other party's commercial market. Through this robbery, he could tell that the other party was not the kind of person who took the path of legitimate commercial competition. For the time being, he would hide as much as he could. Therefore, it was a good choice to avoid the sharp edge. When his strength increased, the Mountain Sea Star trade would have greater development. By then, he would have more resources. The people around him, Jiang Dudu, Shen Tian, Li Baibai, the Wen siblings, etc., would also have grown up and would not be afraid of the soaring rainbow sect. Of course, this was not something that could be done overnight. It would take 100 years or even 1,000 years. However, Jiang Xi could afford to wait. After all, he was only 29 years old. Compared to those nascent soul stage-old monsters who were hundreds or even thousands of years old, he was still a teenager. After that, Jiang Xi and Jiang Dudu did not continue to fly to the White Bird planet. The two began their return journey and flew to Orf planet. They wanted to use the interstellar teleportation array there to return to the Blue Star and consolidate the spiritual artifact business of the Mountain Sea Star trade. Therefore, soon, the Mountain Sea Star trade announced a large-scale withdrawal from all life planets. This caused quite a stir in the cultivation world of the Kanglan Star region. Because the Mountain Sea Star trade had developed too quickly in the past few years, the high-quality spiritual artifacts quickly occupied the spiritual artifact market of many life planets. Many people were puzzled. What caused the rapidly expanding Mountain Sea Star trade to reduce the market? Some people guessed that it might be because of pressure from the Blue Cloud Star trade or the Flying Rainbow Star trade. There was a lot of discussion, but no one had a definite answer. The Mountain Sea Star trade did not announce the reason. Flying Rainbow Galaxy, Flying Rainbow Planet. A long rainbow hung in the sky above Flying Rainbow Planet, as if it had been there since ancient times. Yuan Zhangshua walked out of the interstellar teleportation array with a gloomy face. Previously, when he saw that it was an invincible nascent soul stage cultivator who attacked him, he quickly fled on his flying boat. After returning to Orf planet, he did not dare to stay there and directly took the interstellar teleportation array back to Flying Rainbow planet. This was the headquarters of the Flying Rainbow sect. Damn it! Damn it! An invincible nascent soul stage cultivator. I lost 8 nascent soul stage cultivators and even Uncle Chang died. Even though he was safe, Yuan Zhangshua was still furious. Those 8 nascent soul stage cultivators were the foundation of his control over the Flying Rainbow Star trade. As for Hirue, he did not put him in his eyes. He was just a chess piece. Yuan Zhangshua knew that although his great-grandfather was the sect master of the Flying Rainbow sect, he was not the only successor. He also had competitors. The Flying Rainbow Star trade was one of the most important sources of wealth for the Flying Rainbow sect. If something happened to the Flying Rainbow Star trade in his hands, there was no need to think, he would not be able to become the sect master anymore. Chapter 302. In the Flying Rainbow Grotto heaven, the heaven and earth spirit chi was extremely rich. In some places, the spirit chi had even condensed into a spirit spring. The sacred altar of the Flying Rainbow sect stood at the core of the Grotto Heaven's secret realm and was surrounded by a spirit chi lake. Spirit chi filled the air and the dense aura made the place look like a fairyland. Only those who have perfected the Tao of heaven and earth have the ability to open up a Grotto Heaven's secret realm. However, to open up a Grotto Heaven's secret realm of such a scale, one must be at the Tao integration stage. Tao integration stage, lifespan of 10,000 years, Yuan Zhangshua thought in his heart and was extremely envious. He then took a deep breath and flew toward the sacred altar. He did not dare to fly too fast as he was afraid of disturbing the seniors of the sect who were cultivating in seclusion in the Flying Rainbow Grotto heaven. He then flew all the way to the spirit lake where the sacred altar was located. There was a black palace there. Great-grandfather, great son Zhangshua requests an audience. Yuan Zhangshua knelt in front of the palace. Come in. A leisurely voice came from the palace. Yuan Zhangshua entered the palace respectfully. The sect leader of the Flying Rainbow sect, Yuan Mu, was sitting at the top of the palace. He was a late essence soul stage cultivator. Although he had cultivated for more than 3,000 years, he still looked like a young man. His face was very similar to Yuan Zhangshua's, handsome and feminine. "Zhangshua, what's the matter?" "Great-grandfather, great-grandson is here to ask for forgiveness. This time, in order to deal with the Flying Rainbow Star Trade's competitors, I'm here to ask for forgiveness. In the end, I implicated Uncle Chang and even lost 7 nascent soul stage cultivators of the sect. I deserve to die. Please punish me, great-grandfather." "You, sigh. You deserve to die. You're too impatient. You didn't investigate the enemy's situation in advance and acted rashly. Do you know the enemy's strength? I thought the enemy was a late nascent soul stage cultivator. I didn't expect him to be an invincible nascent soul stage cultivator. You've disappointed me." Yuan Mu suddenly sighed. "You deserve to die." Yuan Zhangshua was terrified and quickly knelt on the ground. Yuan Mu continued, "There's not only an invincible nascent soul stage cultivator behind the Mountain Sea Star Trade, there's also a late essence soul stage cultivator." Late essence soul stage cultivator. Yuan Zhangshua was shocked. "Let's put this matter aside for now. Great-grandfather, even if it's a late primordial soul stage cultivator, our Soaring Rainbow sect doesn't need to be afraid, right? We still have the Patriarch. There's no need to disturb the ancestral Patriarch over such a trivial matter. What I said was temporary. In the next 10 years, don't target the Mountain Sea Star Trade anymore," Yuan Mu said in a low voice. He was very patient with his most doted great-grandson. "Great-grandfather, why is that? In another 10 years, the Mountain Sea Star Trade will really expand." Yuan Zhangshua was unwilling to give up. If they didn't deal with Mountain Sea Star Trade and allowed it to develop freely, wouldn't that reduce the strength of Flying Rainbow Star Trade? That was his capital to compete for the position of the next sect leader. He came back this time with the purpose of asking for help. He asked his great-grandfather to send the nascent soul realm experts of the sect to deal with the invincible nascent soul realm cultivator from the Mountain Sea Star Trade. The 9 Realms Battle of the Tao Alliance that happens once every 10,000 years is about to take place. The sect doesn't have the energy to deal with such trivial matters. Yuan Mu explained. 9 Regions Genius Battle. Yuan Zhangshua's expression changed drastically. Then, he thought of something and asked, "Great-grandfather, which of the 3 gates and 6 sects is hosting this time?" The 3 gates and 6 sects. Apart from the transcendental sects like Taoism, Buddhism, and Sword Gate, the other 6 sects take turns hosting the 9 Regions Genius Battle. This time, it's Purple Heaven Sect's turn. Yuan Mu said. Purple Heaven Sect. Yuan Zhangshua was fascinated. Apart from the 3 gates and 6 sects, the Purple Heaven Sect was the strongest. "Great-grandfather, can I participate?" The first requirement of the 9 Regions Genius Battle is that you must not be more than 300 years old. Yuan Zhangshua smiled bitterly and said, "Then I can't participate. It's useless even if you participate. You can be considered a genius in Flying Rainbow Star region, but in Azure Star region, you can't even be ranked, let alone compared to the billions of geniuses in the Tao Alliance." Yuan Mu said mercilessly. He continued, "This time, according to the requirements of the Tao Alliance Heavenly Court, our Flying Rainbow sect has selected 100,000 talented young cultivators from more than 50,000 planets. They will be trained in Flying Rainbow Grotto Heaven for a period of time. If one of them can make it out of Azure Star Region's selection battle, I will be satisfied." Yuan Zhangshua's eyes widened. 100,000 young cultivators selected from more than 50,000 planets couldn't even make it out of Azure Star Region? Alright, you can leave now. Cultivate well and forget about this matter. Be careful next time. Yuan Mu waved his hand. As for the death of 8 nascent soul stage cultivators, he didn't care at all. As a late-stage nascent soul stage cultivator, he had long set his sights on the Tao integration stage. Great-grandson thanks great-grandfather. Yuan Zhangshua was pleasantly surprised and quickly left. After leaving Flying Rainbow Grotto Heaven, he looked at the rainbow in the sky. He thought that the Nine Regions Tao Alliance would be lively this time. The geniuses of the Nine Regions Tao Alliance that appeared once every 10,000 years. Countless geniuses would gather in one place. As for the Mountain Sea Star region, when Yuan Zhangshua thought of this, his eyes were filled with ruthlessness. Although great-grandfather didn't punish him, he had still lost 8 nascent soul stage cultivators. His competitiveness in the sect had decreased. He had to take revenge for such a big grudge. Mountain Sea Star region and that invincible nascent soul stage cultivator. This time, I will let you live for another 10 years. When the 9 regions genius competition is over, Azure Star region, Waterfront City. A late-stage nascent soul stage enforcer from the Heavenly Court's Azure Star region enforcer came to Daodu Manor. Jiang Xi and Jiang Daodu were puzzled. They didn't seem to have done anything wrong, right? Then, the enforcer smiled and said to the two of them. Hello, Mr. Jiang Xi. Our commander, Lord Earth, asked me to pass on a message to you. He said that by solving the threat of Flying Rainbow Grotto Heaven for you, he has repaid the favor he owed you last time. Please take care of yourself. After saying that, he left Daodu Manor. He came quickly and left quickly. Only Jiangxi and Jiang Daodu were left behind with faces full of astonishment. Earth? The commander of the Heavenly Court's Azure Star region enforcer? Jiang Daodu said in surprise. That's him. Last time, when I applied for the Azure Mystic Sect's trial, it was Earth who led people to destroy the Azure Mystic Sect. Jiang Xi was also very surprised. Owe him a favor? Just because he gave him the opportunity to destroy the Azure Mystic Sect? After Earth attacked last time, he specifically looked into it and knew about the grudge between Patriarch Qing Shen and Earth. However, Jiang Xi vaguely felt that it wasn't that simple. He shook his head. There was no point in thinking about things that he didn't understand. In short, the crisis of Mountain Sea Star region was temporarily resolved. Although the way it was resolved was very sudden and unexpected, and it caught everyone off guard. However, the outcome was good. Daodu, this is a lesson. You have to plan the development of Mountain Sea Star region properly. Jiang Xi said. Yes. Previously, we took too big a step and didn't have a solid foundation. We have to be steady in the future. Jiang Daodu nodded. We also have to do a good job of internal discipline and supervision. Jiang Xi made suggestions, and Jiang Daodu made the main decisions. The two of them reflected seriously. However, they didn't expect a storm to arise. Chapter 303. Year 106 of the New Moon Era, August 6, Planet Songlan, Linhai City, Daodu Manor. Jiang Xi was lying on a recliner, basking in the sun as he welcomed the sea breeze. He looked like he had fallen asleep. In reality, he had been chanting in his heart, deducing Tao techniques. At the same time, he was comprehending the inherited memories left behind by his master, Taoist Gu. This was his cultivation method. After the crisis of the Mountain Sea Star trade was resolved, Jiang Xi spent the most leisurely 3 years of his life. It could be said that he had never been so carefree before. There were no battles, no worries in life, and no messy matters to disturb him. In his spare time, he would either accompany Jiang Daodu to various planets or return to Earth to guide the young cultivators of the Great Xia Alliance. These days were very comfortable. The only thing that worried Jiang Xi was that his cheap master had given him a deceptive commission. Within 100 years, he had to send the Purple Cloud Sword Manual back to the Purple Cloud sect. He had become Taoist Ge's disciple in year 95 of the New Moon Era. It was now year 106 of the New Moon Era. 10 years had passed. Ever since he had seen the way Taoist Changbai of the Purple Cloud sect did things on Morone planet. Jiang Xi knew that without strength, there was no way he could do this job. Master must be a very simple person. Why didn't he think that if I went to the purple cloud sect like this, I would be eaten until not even my bones would be left? Jiang Ci was worried. Even if I cultivate to the essence soul stage, I can't guarantee that it will be foolproof. I have to reach the Tao integration stage first. But after spending countless experience points in the past few years, my Tao techniques have not improved at all. Are the Tao of heaven and earth and the sword domain so difficult to deduce? Although that was the case, Jiang Ci also knew that his cultivation speed was actually beyond the scope of heaven-defying. Many geniuses cultivated for thousands of years before they could cultivate their Tao domain to perfection and have the opportunity to comprehend the Tao of heaven and earth. In comparison, he had only cultivated for 10 years and achieved this. However, the problem was that he was not 100% sure that he could complete the fusion of Tao and reach the Tao integration stage in the remaining 90 years. This was because the difficulty of cultivation in the future would definitely increase. Back then, Jiang Ci had made a Tao oath in front of Taoist Gu. If he couldn't complete it, he wouldn't be able to make any further progress in the Tao. The importance of Tao was self-evident. After reaching the Aurus core stage, the advancement of each major stage was closely related to the Tao. If one was restricted in the aspect of Tao, then one's future cultivation would basically be gone. Therefore, it was impossible for him to give up this commission. Just as he was thinking, Jiang Dudu's voice suddenly rang in his ears, "Brother! Look, there's a painting in the sky." Jiang Dudu was also basking in the sun. Jiang Ci opened his eyes. Immediately, a landscape painting that covered the sky appeared in the sky. It was so huge that it could be seen from the entire blue planet. What kind of divine ability is this? Tao integration stage? Jiang Ci was shocked. The next moment, he knew that he had guessed wrong. Xian Tian and Li Baibai sent a message from a distant galaxy. They also saw the same landscape painting. Big brother and sister Bai are so many light years away from the blue planet. I can't believe there are people there as well. This is not something a Tao integration stage cultivator can do. Jiang Ci was shocked. He thought of a similar existence to this divine ability. The heavenly eye of the Tao alliance that covered the entire universe. Could it be that this landscape painting also covered the entire universe? Thinking of this, Jiang Ci hurriedly sent a message to Chu Zhe and Qiu Hong, who were guarding Earth, as well as Shen Wanxi, who was handling the Mountain Sea Star trade business on another planet. What puzzled Jiang Ci was that there was no such abnormal change in the sky of Earth. However, a landscape painting appeared in the sky of Shen Wanxi's planet. Brother Oldine said that this is the heavenly mountain river painting of the Tao Alliance. Jiang Dudu said at this moment. Then, Yin Tiansheng, a thumb-sized remnant spirit of the Tao integration stage, appeared on Jiang Dudu's shoulder. Young Master Jiang Ci, although I was born in the ghost realm, I have heard of the Tao Alliance's supreme treasure. Yin Tiansheng smiled sinisterly. Tao Alliance's supreme treasure? Jiang Dudu was interested. That's right. This landscape painting is the heavenly mountain river painting. It's said that no matter where you are in the universe, as long as you have the heavenly mountain river painting's approval, you can enter it with your spiritual sense. However, I don't know what it's used for, Yin Tianxing explained. Jiang Ci nodded. He had already found it in Taoist Ge's inherited memories. The heavenly eye and the heavenly mountain river painting. These two supreme treasures complemented each other and could cover the entire universe. The heavenly mountain river painting. Could it be that the Tao Alliance's 9 Zones Genius Tournament is about to begin? Jiang Ci's eyes lit up. He had also found information related to the 9 Zones Genius Tournament after searching through his inherited memories. At this moment, ripples appeared on the heavenly mountain river painting hanging in the sky. Lines of ancient words reflected a golden light and appeared in the sky covered by the heavenly mountain river painting. Tao Alliance's 9 Zones Genius Tournament, Purple Heaven Sect Qualifications, 1. Human Cultivators 2. Lifespan less than 300 years 3. Comprehension of at least one true intent of Tao and cultivation not exceeding the nascent soul stage. Method of participation: please register at the Tao Alliance building on each planet. Venue: Heavenly Mountain River Painting Process 1. Preliminaries will be held in the various star zones of the 9 zones. The top 3,600 from each star zone will enter the finals. 2. The winners of the preliminaries will enter the finals to determine the top 3,600 Tao Alliance geniuses. Rewards: the top 3,600 Tao Alliance geniuses in the finals will directly become 9th Heaven disciples of the Purple Heaven sect and receive a minimum of 100 million low-grade spirit crystals as a reward and the right to enter the ancient Tao origin world. Please consult the Tao Alliance building on each planet for more details. These golden words illuminated the entire universe. Every planet belonging to the Tao Alliance could see the details of the 9 Zones Genius Tournament except for Earth. Jiangxi and Jiang Daodu raised their heads to look at all of this. Their faces were filled with shock. At the same time, Blue Planet, Zhangyan Sect. In name, the entire Blue Planet was under the control of the Zhangyan Sect. However, that was not the case. The Blue Planet covered more than 80,000 star zones. Every star zone had tens of thousands of planets with life. In such a vast territory, the Zhangyan sect only had a little over 1,000 star zones with life. For example, although the Soaring Rainbow Star Zone was also part of the Blue Planet, it was actually under the control of the Soaring Rainbow sect. Inside the Zhangyan Grotto Heaven, the Zhangyan sect had selected 1 million young cultivators from over 1,000 star zones with life. They were gathered together to receive Sect Master Wu Kuei's teachings. In the end, Sect Master Wu Kuei sat up high and his loud voice spread throughout the Grotto Heaven. In the upcoming 9 Realms Geniuses Tournament, if any of you are able to qualify for the selection in the Blue Sky Star Sector, you will be rewarded with 100 vital planets. Immediately, the young cultivators were in an uproar. 100 planets with life. Chapter 304. These millions of young cultivators had cultivations ranging from the spirit vessel stage to the nascent soul stage. They all had Taoist rhymes circulating around their bodies. They were all outstanding figures in the cultivation world of their respective planets. They were very clear. 100 planets with life. It was enough for a cultivator, a family, or a force to soar. The nascent soul genius of the Zhangyan sect, Feng Si, was among these millions of young cultivators. He was also very excited. 100 planets with life was only secondary in his eyes. Feng Si was concerned about something else. This 9 Regions Genius Tournament is hosted by the Purple Heaven sect. If you can make it to the finals, you will have a chance to become a core disciple of the Purple Heaven sect. In the entire universe, apart from the Taoist, Buddhist, and Sword sects, the Purple Heaven sect was the strongest. In fact, the current leader of the Heavenly Court was from the Purple Heaven sect. Once you passed the 9 Regions Genius Tournament and became a disciple of the Purple Heaven sect, even if you were still at the nascent soul stage, your status would be comparable to the nascent soul stage. Although the chances of making it to the finals were very small, so small that in these tens of thousands of years, no disciple of the Zhangyan sect had ever made it to the top 3,600. But there was still a sliver of a chance. On an extremely cold planet with life, frost covered the entire world. A young man with snow-white hair had a frost domain wreaking havoc around him. In an instant, he had slaughtered over 100 nascent soul stage snow devils. At this moment, the Skyspan Mountain River diagram that lit up in the sky attracted his attention. 9 Regions Genius Tournament. The chance to become famous in the universe has come. The man laughed wantonly as frost swept across, forming a polar storm. This was a world of flames. A woman in red clothes had flames circling beneath her feet as she swept past countless fire spirits. She devoured the Taoist rhymes contained within those fire spirits. Instantly, her aura grew stronger. The 9 Regions Genius Tournament has begun. Hurry up and register. An old woman's voice came from the depths of this world. 9 Regions Genius Tournament. Thank you, Granny. The voice remained in place, but the woman and those fire spirits had disappeared without a trace. The melodious sound of a flute could be heard. A young shepherd riding an old water buffalo passed by a willow tree by the lake. The melodious sound of the flute seemed to penetrate deep into one's soul, yet it also seemed to be able to nurture all living things. The willow tree that fluttered in the wind seemed to have a spirit as it waved at the shepherd boy. As for the shepherd boy, he had a bright smile on his face as he waved at the willow tree to show his respect. Soon, the sky-piercing mountain river diagram announcing the 9 Zones Genius Tournament appeared in the sky of the planet. 9 Regions Genius Battle. I can see a bigger world. The shepherd boy's eyes lit up. The willow tree's branches and leaves were also dancing happily. You also support me going? Whoosh, the wind blew. Good. Let's go. The willows rustled gently, and the shepherd boy bid farewell. Each of the 9 realms of the Tao Alliance had 400 star zones, for a total of 3,600 star zones. Every star region had tens of thousands of habitable galaxies. Each life-bearing galaxy contained tens of thousands of life-bearing planets. If one were to make a rough calculation, the number of planets with life was at least 10 trillion. It was unknown how many geniuses these planets had nurtured. Even if a planet produced a young genius who comprehended the true intent of the Tao, there would still be tens of billions of participants. And this was only the minimum amount. A grand banquet of human geniuses in the universe. Countless young geniuses in the 9 regions of the Tao Alliance were in an uproar. With this opportunity, this is my chance to rise in the universe. It's said that the current master of the heavenly court is from the Purple Firmament sect. If I can become a disciple of the Purple Firmament sect, I won't have to worry about my future cultivation. One chance to enter the ancient Tao origin world. Once I enter, I have a chance of reaching the Tao integration realm. My enemy is extremely powerful and controls 3 life-bearing galaxies. If I can make a name for myself in the 9 Regions Genius Tournament, I can take revenge. At this moment, Xian Tian and Li Baibai had already rushed back from a distant star system. They had formed the Starry Sky Wanderer team with Hu Yen and had been training in the Pale Blue Star region for the past few years. After countless battles, these two, who were originally ranked first and second on Earth, had now reached the late-stage Golden Core realm. Their actual combat strength had long since reached the nascent Soul realm. Pale Blue Star, Waterfront City, Dowda Manor. Big brother, sister Bye-Bye, are you going to participate in the 9 Regions Genius Tournament? Jiang Xi asked with a smile. The two of them were battle maniacs. They must have rushed back for this matter. Of course. I entered the Tao through martial arts. If I don't fight, how can I improve? This is a tournament where billions of geniuses will gather. The battles will definitely be exciting. Xian Tian's eyes lit up. In the past few years, the opponents we've encountered in the Pale Blue Star region have become less and less challenging. We have to fight stronger battles to continue improving our strength. Li Baibai said with a smile. Jiang Xi chuckled. Don't blame me for discouraging you. There are more than 80,000 life-bearing galaxies in the Pale Blue Star region. Each life-bearing galaxy has at least 10,000 life-bearing planets. Based on the minimum standard of 1 genius per planet, there are at least 800 million participants. When the time comes, you'd better not be killed as soon as you enter. Kid, don't look down on us. I've already learned that in order to ensure fairness, the participants of the 9 Regions Genius Tournament will have their own consciousness. After their soul consciousness enters the sky-reaching mountain and river painting, the spiritual body formed will have the cultivation of the perfected nascent soul stage, Xian Tian said with widened eyes. That's right. With our understanding of Tao, we might have a chance to qualify for the finals if we're at the same level. Li Baibai was also full of confidence. Jiang Xi smiled but didn't say anything. He didn't continue to discourage them. He had already learned about the 9 Regions Genius Tournament in detail through Daoist Ge's inherited memories. Chapter 305. Don't just talk about us. Are you going? Xian Tian asked Jiang Xi. It was obvious that he was not affected at all. You're all going, so how can I not go? Jiang Xi said with a smile. The purpose of his participation in the competition was not to show off. There were three main reasons. First, it had been too peaceful recently. Just as Xian Tian and Li Baibai had said, those who entered the Tao through martial arts would never forget the fighting spirit that flowed through their bodies. Second, Daoist Ge had given him a mission, so he had to complete it. If he could enter the top 3,600 in the finals, he would be able to join the Purple Heaven sect. Although he was not very confident, he still had to try. What if he succeeded? Once he entered the Purple Heaven sect, he could find a suitable opportunity to return the Purple Heaven sword manual. It was better than sitting here and worrying. Finally, he had his eyes on the final prize, which was a chance to enter the ancient Tao source world. In Daoist Ge's inherited memories, the ancient Tao source world was a piece of information that was heavily emphasized. The Tao source, the source of all Taos. It was said that one could see Tao techniques there with their naked eyes. The efficiency of comprehending Tao techniques was hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of times faster than usual. I have the experience points panel, so cultivating Tao techniques is not a big problem. The key is that there might be a large amount of experience points there. This was what Jiang Xi was looking forward to the most. Experience points were the foundation for him to improve his strength. Last time on the Murong planet, he had comprehended the Tao of Fire left behind by the Wen clan's ancestor and obtained 100 million experience points. The ancient Tao source world had a large amount of Tao of heaven and earth that could be seen with the naked eye. How much experience points would there be? Just thinking about it made Jiang Xi excited. Others could comprehend Tao techniques, while he could earn experience points. If he had enough experience points, he could even deduce Tao techniques 10,000 times a day. Therefore, in summary, Jiang Xi had no reason not to participate. Apart from him, Xian Tian and Li Baibai Jiang Daodu did not like to fight, and she was currently focused on the mountain and sea star trade, so she did not participate. The Wen clan's siblings were also focused on the Tao of equipment refinement for similar reasons. In the end, only Jiang Xi and the other two arrived at the Tao Alliance building. The Tao Alliance building wasn't too crowded at the moment. This was because although there were more than 100,000 cultivators above the Golden Core stage on the entire Kanglan planet, there were only a few 100,000 of them. However, there were less than 10,000 people who were qualified to participate. Participant, Jiang Xi, Kanglan Star Region, Kanglan Galaxy, Kanglan Planet. Participant, Xian Tian. Participant, Li Baibai. In order to prevent Earth from being exposed, the three of them used their identities on the blue planet to register for the competition. After that, the staff of the Tao Alliance building began to examine their qualifications. Age, cultivation, Tao arts. There were 3 items in total. Jiang Xi was 32 years old. He was at the peak of the nascent soul realm and had 2 great Tao domains. Xian Tian was 92 years old. He was at the later stage of the Golden Core realm. His saber true meaning was perfected. Li Baibai was 81 years old. He was at the late Golden Core stage and his true meaning of swiftness had reached perfection. With Jiang Xi and the other two's qualifications, of course, there were no accidents and they easily signed up. When the 9 Zones Genius battle begins, your spiritual senses will be able to enter the Skirich Mountain River diagram through your communication pearls. The staff of the Tao Alliance building returned the 3 communication pearls to Jiang Xi and the other 2. Judging from their qualifications, he knew that these 3 were all geniuses. His attitude was much better, and his face was full of smiles. The 3 of them put away their communication pearls and scanned them with their spiritual senses. They discovered that there seemed to be some inexplicable changes in their communication pearls. Registering here wasn't just for the examination of their qualifications. The staff also had to make special adjustments to the communication pearls of the participants. According to Jiang Xi's understanding, this should be to adjust their network permissions in the Skirich Mountain River. The universe was the public network, and the Skirich Mountain River diagram was the internal network. After that, they left the Tao Alliance building and waited for the competition to begin. The Skirich Mountain River diagram hung in the sky of the planet, covering the sky and the sun. The rows of golden ancient words reflected the billions of planets in the universe. Below the ancient words, there was a row of jumping numbers. Participants in the Kanglan Star region, 7,925. 8,201. 8,846 billion. The numbers were still increasing at an astonishing speed. The first stage of the 9 Zones Genius Tournament was the preliminary selection by star region. Therefore, this number only showed the number of participants in the Kanglan Star region. Finally, when the registration period ended, the number was fixed at 3,519 billion. The Kanglan Star region alone has so many participants. The 9 zones of the Tao Alliance have a total of 3,600 star regions. At a rough estimate, there are at least 1 trillion participants. Jiang Xi was speechless. There were a total of 1 trillion participants in the 9 zones. What a terrifying number. Xian Tian and Li Baibai looked at each other in dismay. Now that they thought about it, it seemed that they had been too confident. As participants, the 3 of them quickly received the detailed process of the competition through their communication pearls. In the first stage, the participants of each star region will be divided into 360 regions after their spiritual senses enter the Skirich Mountain River diagram. The participants will fight in spirit form. If their spirit form dies, they will only lose a wisp of their spiritual sense. It won't affect their main body. Every participant will have 2 origin points. Killing a participant will give you half of the opponent's points. The participant who ranks first in each region will get a spot in the finals. In this way, there will be 360 spots in the finals. Then, the second to 100th place in each region, a total of 35,640 participants, will compete in one-on-one round-robin matches to compete for the remaining 3,240 spots in the finals. From this, the top 3,600 participants of the entire star region will be selected. The second stage, soon, the 3 of them finished reading the detailed introduction. Xian Tian took a deep breath and said, "If it's divided into regions, we might still have a chance. We just need to make it into the top 100. Li Baibai was full of fighting spirit. In short, there will be a lot of battles. There is indeed a chance. There are 3,519 billion participants in the Kanglan Star region. If they are evenly divided into 360 regions, there will be nearly 10 billion participants in each region. Apart from the first place in each region, the top 100 participants will all have a chance to get a spot in the finals." Jiang Xi nodded. Even so, the 3 of them felt a lot of pressure. These participants were all geniuses who had at least comprehended the true meaning of Tao. There were definitely many who had Tao domains. There were even some abnormal ones who might have comprehended the Tao of heaven and earth. Moreover, everyone would be in spirit form at the peak of the nascent soul stage. In the case of the same cultivation, it would depend on Tao, combat experience, and willpower to see who was better. Just now, they had also received their respective regions through their communication beads. Jiang Xi was in the 101st region of the Kanglan Star region, Xian Tian was in the 6th region, and Li Baibai was in the 360th region. "Brother, sister Baibai, shall we compete to see who has the highest ranking this time?" Jiang Xi said with a smile. "I don't want to compete with a freak like you." Xian Tian whistled and turned his gaze to the sea in the distance. "Huh." Li Baibai sneered and turned to leave. "Hey!" Chapter 306. Before the official start of the 9 Regions Genius Competition, countless contestants were working hard to cultivate and strive to improve their strength. Time passed, and the once-in-10,000 years human genius banquet finally began under everyone's anticipation. In the cultivation room with the highest level of defense in Daoda manner, Jiang Xie, Xian Tian, and Li Baibai sat cross-legged. Holding the communication bead in their hands, their spiritual consciousness felt an inexplicable attraction through the communication mark. In an instant, their spiritual consciousness was drawn into the Tongtian Mountain River painting. With a turn of his spiritual sense, Riverward found himself in the starry sky. The galaxy was flowing, and under his feet was a huge meteorite. Jiang Xi knew that all of this was illusory and not real. Is this a spiritual body? It feels exactly like a real body. Jiang Xi operated his spiritual power and spiritual consciousness in amazement. He was a perfected nascent soul realm cultivator, so he could perfectly control this spiritual body. Contestant, please choose your battle equipment. A loud voice sounded in this starry sky. Jiang Xi's heart moved, and a supreme-grade spiritual weapon long sword appeared in his hand. It looked exactly the same as the killer shadow sword. It's really amazing. But why do I feel like this scene is familiar? Spirit Cloud Illusion. Jiang Xi recalled the scene when he challenged Ling Wan Road on Earth. Wasn't the trial illusion of every step of Ling Wan Road like this? Choose your equipment first, then fight. It felt as if the Tongtian Mountain River painting was the official server, and Ling Wan Road was the private server. Not knowing if his guess was correct, Jiang Xi could only temporarily suppress the shock in his heart because the official competition was about to begin. Contestant, please get ready. In 3 seconds, you will be teleported to the 101st Division of the Blue Star region. 3 seconds passed. Whoosh! Heaven and earth changed. Jiang Xi appeared in the 101st Division of the Blue Star region. It was a planet with life similar to Earth. Everything was very real. Land, sea, mountains, lakes, and cities. Jiang Xi was now in a city with many tall buildings. He didn't let his guard down just because he had mastered 2 great Dao domains. Instead, he quickly restrained his aura and hid his body. Kill! Almost instantly, the sound of fierce fighting could be heard nearby. Ding ding ding! Clang clang clang! A huge burst of energy erupted, and the aura surged. Someone died as soon as he entered. Nearly 10 billion contestants had gathered on a single planet. Every one of them was in the state of spirit body and had the cultivation of the perfected nascent soul realm. Once a battle broke out, there was no stopping it. More and more people joined the battle. After all, only a few people were truly cautious. Everyone was wild and unrestrained, killing anyone they saw. This was especially true for those cultivators who were usually only at the spirit-nurturing realm and golden core realm. Now that they suddenly had the spiritual body of a great circle nascent soul realm cultivator, they immediately became arrogant. Soon, tens of thousands of people joined the chaotic battle. Boom! Boom! In their spirit bodies, the nascent soul peak stage contestants unleashed a series of terrifying attacks. The smallest was a few hundred feet, while the largest was tens of thousands of feet. They wreaked havoc in this space. Those who were weak were eliminated at the first moment. Only those who were truly powerful had the right to survive. But now, the only things that differentiated the strong from the weak were Dao techniques, battle experience, and willpower. Meanwhile, on the vital planets of the 3,600 star regions, the Skyspan Mountain River map hanging in the sky changed. The landscape painting that covered the sky changed and turned into 360 huge pictures. It displayed the real-time situation of the 360 competitions in each star region. Of course, Earth couldn't see this. On the vital planets covered by the Skyspan Mountain River map, those who didn't participate in the competition were all paying attention to the real-time situation of the various competitions. Oh, what a pity! Ergu was killed as soon as he entered. He was the hope of our village. Nalan Yen of the Cloud Mist planet is indeed a genius. She killed thousands of contestants in a chaotic battle and entered the 88th competition in 11th place. We'll soon know who the real genius is. Sangyin Sect. Sect Master Wu Kuei and a group of nascent soul stage elders were also watching the situation of the various competitions in the Kanglan Star region. Everyone, take a closer look. If there are any suitable seedlings, we can try to recruit them, Wu Kuei said with a smile. Sect Master is right. In the 9 regions genius competition, not only are the 3 gates and 6 sects selecting disciples, but we can also recruit some talented young people. The first elder nodded with a smile. They didn't dare to think about the geniuses who entered the top 3,600 in the finals. However, they could still fight for the young geniuses who performed well in the first stage. Sect Master, Feng Si is doing well. He has already entered the top 1,000. Judging by his cautious style, it won't be a big problem for him to enter the top 10. An elder praised. Everyone's eyes immediately locked onto one of the huge images. Feng Si, the nascent soul stage genius of the Zhangyan sect, was in a one-on-many battle. He was very cautious, but his efficiency was very high. A few years ago, he comprehended a second rare Dao technique on the Morong planet in the Minglan star region. In addition, he has already comprehended 80% of the Fog Demon realm. His strength has improved a lot. Wu Kuei nodded with gratification. Our Zhangyan sect hasn't had a disciple enter the top 3,600 in the finals for 50,000 years. Feng Si might have a chance. The first elder smiled. It'll be difficult. With his current strength, he has the confidence to enter the top 10,000 in the finals. His chances of entering the top 3,600 are too slim. Wu Kuei smiled helplessly. The 9 regions of the Dao Alliance had 3,600 star regions. The Kanglan star region wasn't outstanding among so many star regions. It could only be considered below average. Due to the strong interstellar trade atmosphere in the Kanglan star region, the cultivation of cultivators had fallen behind. The Zhangyan sect was the top immortal Dao sect in the Kanglan star region. In the past 50,000 years, its best result in the 9 regions genius competition was entering the top 5,000 in the finals. Those who stood out in the first stage could only be called geniuses in their respective star regions. Only those who entered the top 3,600 in the second stage of the finals could be considered geniuses in the 9 regions of the Dao Alliance. It's not just the Zhangyan sect. In the past 50,000 years, no one in the entire Kanglan star region has entered the top 3,600 in the finals. The best was only 3,601. Wu Kuei was helpless. After all, the Zhangyan sect was the top immortal Dao sect in charge of a star region. This was a very shameful record. If anyone could enter the top 3,600 in the finals, he would also be proud. Sect Master, First Elder, look at that black-clothed youth in the 6th region. Look at his saber. An elder suddenly exclaimed. Everyone's attention was immediately attracted. That's saber intent. A special Dao art. Wu Kuei and the First Elder's eyes lit up. The person they were looking at was none other than Xian Tian in the 6th region. At this moment, Xian Tian was killing a contestant with an ordinary Dao domain with a single slash of his saber. A special Dao art at the perfect level of saber intent was comparable to 40% of an ordinary Dao domain. Chapter 307. Note it down and check his background. Wu Kuei said immediately. The elders were excited. As primordial soul stage cultivators, they understood the Dao of heaven and earth. Naturally, they knew what special Dao techniques meant. Dao techniques were divided into 3 levels: special, rare, and normal. Cultivators who could understand rare Dao techniques were definitely geniuses. On the other hand, the number of cultivators that had comprehended special Dao arts was extremely few. This was especially so for Dao intent, which was completely used in battle. It was extremely rare. Although this black-robed youth's Dao technique was still in the Dao intent stage, as long as he was nurtured well, he would have the chance to become a powerful cultivator. Everyone believed that if the Nine Zones Genius competition was held 200 years later, this person would definitely have the chance to enter the top 3,600. Dao de Manor. Jiang Dudu, Wen Yoxin, Wen Feng, and Shen Wansi were all anxiously watching the three huge screens in the sky. Other than the 101st region where Jiang Ci was, there were also the 6th and 360th regions. On the left side of each screen was the real-time ranking of the top 100,000. What is brother doing? I can't see his ranking. It's beyond the top 100,000. Jiang Dudu was very confused. She then looked at the rankings of the other two regions. Brother Xian Tian is already in the top 10,000 of the 6th region. Sister Bai Bai is also in the top 50,000 of her region. Jiang Dudu was even more confused. Riverward strength was clearly stronger. It was normal for him to be in the top 1,000. Could it be that Jiang Gu has met his match? Shen Wansi asked hesitantly. Impossible. In such a competition, only martial granduncle can kill others. Wen Yoxin was very confident in this young martial granduncle. I'm afraid only those with primordial soul stage battle prowess are qualified to be martial granduncle's match, Wen Feng said. Jiang Dudu thought for a while and smiled. I think he's hiding. Unfortunately, the competition had just started. There were too many participants in each region. They could not find Jiang Ci at all. In fact, it was very difficult to find him because Jiang Ci was hiding in the dark. Look, it's moving. Jiang Ji's ranking has directly soared to 99,527. Shen Wansi suddenly exclaimed. So fast. In the blink of an eye, it's already 50,000th place. 30,000th place. 10,000th place. Wen Yoxin's eyes widened. How many people did he kill? As expected of martial granduncle. Wen Feng praised. Jiang Dudu smiled without saying a word. As expected of my brother. At this time, in the 101st Division of the Kanglan Star region, Jiang Ci hid in a building and watched the chaotic battle not far away. There was a situation that made him very surprised. Because he found that this planet was very hard. That's not the right word to describe it. It should be very sturdy. The building was sturdy, and so was the ground. Tens of thousands of perfected nascent soul cultivators were engaged in a chaotic battle that could destroy the world. Surprisingly, it didn't cause any damage to the buildings or the ground of the city. If such a large-scale battle had taken place on Earth, wouldn't Earth have already become a small broken ball? There's still someone hiding here. Are you trying to take advantage of me? Go to hell. At this time, someone discovered Jiang Ci who was hiding in the dark and directly slashed at him with a blade. Powerful nascent soul spirit energy fluctuations instantly spread out, mixed with a mysterious Taoist rhyme. This was a cultivator who had comprehended the true meaning of Tao. Ha! Jiang Ci smiled. His figure flashed, and the departing fire sword stabbed out. This is the power of a domain. It's over, it's over. That person was in despair. Poof! His entire body was turned into ashes by the departing fire domain power on the sword. Run, this is a freak who has comprehended the Tao domain. Many people saw this scene. The participants who were gathered here in the chaotic battle immediately ran for their lives. Once the spirit body died, they would be eliminated. However, Jiang Ci didn't immediately chase after them. He was stunned there. Because in his mind, the prompt of the experience panel sounded. You killed a late nascent soul cultivator, fake, experience points plus 380. The word fake represented that these participants in the spirit body state were very different from the real late nascent soul cultivators. The experience points were only 1/10. There's such a good thing. Jiang Ci was pleasantly surprised. It was fine if there were less, but there were more. There were close to 10 billion participants. His blazing gaze looked at the contestants who were running away. Experience baby. Whoosh! Jiang Ci directly used the Gale domain, and his figure whistled as he chased after them. Within 1,000 kilometers, as long as their Dao techniques were weaker than his, they would be restrained by the Gale domain, and their speed would be greatly reduced. This is too terrifying. This is a genius who has comprehended 2 Dao domains. And he has already perfected them. A nascent soul cultivator shouted in shock. This kind of person is a freak who can rush into the top 10,000 in the finals. Why is he in the same area as him? I can't accept this. The 9 Zones Genius Battle is my chance to become famous. Over 10,000 participants were in despair. However, in Jiang Ci's eyes, these were all experience points. Kill, kill, kill. His figure flashed, and the sword light was sharp, taking away one participant after another. You killed a late nascent soul cultivator, fake, experience points plus 380, some people struggled, but it was futile. Soon, the ground was full of corpses, and blood flowed like a river. It looked very real. Jiang Ci was surprised again. Then, he looked at the experience points remaining. Experience points, 866. 68,800,000 experience points. How much will it increase by the end of the first stage of the competition? Jiang Ci's eyes were filled with vigor. He was looking forward to it. Time of the competition, 30 days. Time was limited. Moreover, there were close to 10 billion participants in this area. They would not be waiting for him to kill. There would be a fierce battle between each other. In the end, how many people he could kill would depend on his killing speed. There was another prerequisite, and that was to not encounter a participant stronger than him and be eliminated by others in advance. The probability of that was relatively low. Let's go crazy and kill. Jiang Ci grinned. His killing intent was overflowing. His blood was boiling. Swish, 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 under the Gale domain, his speed reached the extreme. He constantly swept across this planet, killing everyone he saw.